Yeah, man.
That's hot shit right there, man.
So what we gonna do? We gonna dub.
Remember, we want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley.
Look up something to back check, kind of like cross-reference.
Yeah, I should put the.
You say you look that shit up. That's the name of your show.
Yeah,
that's right. What really drew me in.
And hope I don't get in trouble for playing that last video. I probably shouldn't have played that shit. I'm always testing the damn waters, bro. That shit gonna get me.
You are now
Who and what are we gonna complain about tonight?
You are now.
This is copyright.gov, U.S. Copyright Office. More information on fair use. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright-protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Section 107 calls for consideration of the following 4 factors in evaluating a question of fair use: purpose and character of the use, including whether the use of the commercial nature or is for nonprofit educational purposes, nature of the copyrighted work, amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Okay, so anything I use for you guys, hit me up if you want me to remove it, edit it, or whatever. Nothing is used to infringe on anybody's intellectual property. I don't intend on doing that, and I don't intend on profiting from anyone's intellectual property. So I'm glad to edit or delete anything that's any of my videos that I've used of anybody. So that's it.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi.
I didn't know that you realized that.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi. ¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti? Mueve, mueve. ¿Te gusta cuando me muevo así? Así. Mueve, muevo, mueve.
Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hop, hop, jump, skip up on the floor. If they didn't know, then we gon' let them know. Drop low, giving them a show. We gon' give them something that they never seen before. Hop, scotch, 784. Bouncing on the beat while keeping the flow. Stop, watch, freeze and go. Cock-a-doodle-doo is what you eating off the floor. Pop, lock, do it by yourself. You know you the best, you don't need nobody else. Rock, hip, toast to success. You was born a winner, so you never nothing less. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place, we up in the place, we up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake, make your body shake, make your body shake. Bow, bow. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle. When we come through, make you move just a little. Clap, snap, do it from the hip. You can do this whether you stand or sit. Pump, fist, do it with your wrist. Pump it back and forth like you're trying to catch a fish. Hip, twist, do a finger kiss. Rocking back and forth as you make your body shift. Top, tick, do it like you sick. 2 + 4 is 6, and that's a ripper thick. Top, 6, we gon' let it rip. We got your attention and we not gon' let it slip. So hands up, move your head and know what's up. Now it's shoulders rolling while you showing them your stuff. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Hey, you, we up in the place. We up in the place. We up in the place. Hey, you, make your body shake. Make your body shake. Make your body shake. Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle.
¿Quieres que lo mueva para ti?
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle.
Que no esté cuando me muevo así.
Bow, bow, rock, rock, shake, shake, wiggle, wiggle. When we come through, make you move just a little, 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 just a little.
One, two, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. A mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's time to check the mic and best to bet. I'm about to wreck it to the leather. Jealous people hate but don't debate. Just check my measures. Electric by design. I even shine in stormy weather. Attempt to meddle and tether this mental treasure, and you find yourself embedded in the chasm in the desert. Thirsting for hydration, no libation, empty kettle. Take it to another level, add the bullet in the shovel. Got you on the bubble, double trouble. See you stumbled, and it's about to get repugnant like a kitten in the rumble. Quick to fluff and tumble, best be humble when we come through, cause I have you stiffing under. Mama wonder where you went to.
1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. What you gon' do? It's the KCE crew. We making you look like Fu Manchu. Proper grasshopper who with the kung fu. Cut and slice nice like Benny Hanna do. Take quick bites like the tip of a piranha tooth. Go ahead and steal my mic. Watch it blow up right in front of you. We coming to give you something good like some Beetlejuice. Give you something good like some Beetlejuice. Who do you think you are? You ain't gonna get real far. Driving your shifty car, following Diddy farts. I'ma be a Twitter star. I'ma be a Twitter star. Keep dreaming about how big you are, cause we about to pick apart everything that's in your heart. Control and leave you torn to shards. Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte. Selling junk like Sanford Son. Wax on, wax off Daniel, son. Selling junk like Sanford Son.
1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm tripping cause my mind's gone from always seeing tragedy. Can't close my eyes cause it's around me, I just call it reality. Can't paint no perfect picture like an artist they can't sell. Is what they try to instill in me, but my pockets seem to swell. Doing it like them ghetto boys did it back in those days. And we been jamming Pippin Bun, long live UGK. And before Eminem, we had Bill and Gangsta Nip. But we don't trip unless we on the plane taking a trip. And these suckers trying to contest us, but they find out we ain't no busters. We much more than screw, we keep it gutter. Mic check 1, 2, y'all cannot touch us. We don't be causing no problem, son. Coming at me like Daniel, son. You would get defeated, wax on, wax off, out to the righteous one.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. You already know. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Dude, I could blink my eyes and provide an entire fountain of sound effects pounding directly on your neck, having flashbacks of the tragic act back when the boom bap was replaced with pop rap or hip hop or whatever you call that. We need a lockbox or something to keep this weak pox from spreading. I'm heading outside of the outsiders, opening your mind wider. Silly rabbits are at it again, but they can't hide us. Sit tight, Mr. Hip Hop, we'll find your daughter. Ought to be easy. She emits a homing frequency. We picked it up back in '98, and we're actually surprised that it took us so long to triangulate her exact location. But congratulations, check it out, we about to get her right now. We already found the captors, trapped them and slapped them around, and burned the hideout to the ground.
Yeah, a 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2. Let's make it hot. A 1 2 1 2, mic check 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2.
Remind me my drink. Yo, this bitch is drunk on my drink. Yo, this trick is smoking my dang. I want her to stop, but I can't. I'm leaning to the side, man. I'm leaning to the side, man. Yo, everybody vibing, the lights flashing, ain't nobody hiding. I'm full of passion. I see this chick smiling with her action. She said she from an island. I'm just passing. I said stop lying. Started laughing, girl, what you drinking? I'm on that captain, now we on pink panties with a napkin. I got a blunt dipped in brandy that we passing. Now we leaning to the side and the bass bang. She feeling on my thigh, my chain swinging, feeling alright now. The game changing, right on time now. We both swaying, do that new style now. Bojangles, I wanna see your tatas. Do those jangles, what about your now guys? I need angles, call me your papa. Grab your ankles, move like chaka chaka. When it's anal, I got to get ya. And it's painful, split you like a swisher. With a label, you know we can make it without being naked. We can make them think we faking, shaking. Make me take it. Yo, this chick remind me my drink. Yo, this bitch is drunk on my drink. This trick is smoking my dang. I want her to stop, but I can't. I'm leaning to the side, man. 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 If you got a cup, put that shit up. Lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. If you got a fat cat and your drawers and bra match, lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. If you just got off of work and your fucking feet hurt, lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. If you shine fly and everybody know your ass high, lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. If it's getting hot and you drink Henny on the rocks, lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. If you a hot girl and you can stop and make it pop, lean it to the side. Lean it to the side. Yo, this chick remind me my drink. Yo, this bitch is drunk on my drink. Yo, this trick is smoking my dang. I want her to stop, but I can't. I'm leaning to the side, man. I'm leaning to the side, man. I'm leaning to the side, man. I'm leaning to the side, man.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, we want you to be an activist. Don't take our word for it. Look that mess up. Thank you, God, for this day we have lived, everything in our life, our health, our family, the guidance you have given us. Allow us guidance to the path of righteousness. Amen. We're back. We're back. Excuse me. We're back. We're back. We're back. Another week. Lots and lots to talk about. A whole bunch going on. Biden. They're talking about Biden. We had some elections that just happened. Well, the primaries. You know, that kind of stuff. I wonder. Give me a second, y'all. Wish there was some real. I wish I could just go to, and they could just scroll the reels or something. That would be cool. So, Meta, if you're listening, allow us to scroll the reels of the person instead of having to scroll the reels of the random people. We just want to scroll the reels of the one person that we want to scroll the reels of. Anyways, like I say, peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. You know, I've been looking at the analytics of the show lately, and it's like all men that watch the show. That's why one of the reasons why I was so happy to get Amina on the show. And it looked like she was going to be a part of the show for a while. And it's crazy. The last video that did the best without any ads was the one. It was called women's rights or human rights, something like that. And it was featuring Amina on that one. And it's like, and I think that all of those extra views were from the females who were checking the show out. Really sucks. You know, I want this. Everyone hopefully can gain something from this. The perspective, maybe, you know, I am a dude, so I can't help but to have like a dude's perspective. So, you know, it helps to have other perspectives in here so that we can have a more balanced view of the topic of whatever it is we're talking about. It also, whenever there's a female in here, it also tones us down a bit. And we're more careful about what we say and stuff like that. Anyways, I want to give some time to get people in here. Man, needless to say, I'm a fan. I'm a fan, y'all. I'm a fan. Anyways, let me get up out of here. Let me go to, I have some stuff. I kind of wanted to wait on this, but we can do some random stuff here. Yeah. It says footage of a customer trying to manhandle a female employee at a branch of an international fast food franchise in Sheikhupura, Punjab, went viral on Wednesday. In the footage, the customer charges at the staffer at the payment counter. In the ensuing chaos, the culprit is then beaten inside the establishment by employees. They're like slapping this dude all on the back of his head. It was a little chick there behind the counter, and then he all pushed over the computer and looked like he was trying to rip up the computer. He got all in the chick's face. He's a tall dude, too. And the other guys are like, man, what are you doing, bro? Calm the hell down with that bullshit, bro. You tripping. So I guess, I don't know what happened after that, but at some point the people got on his ass. It looks like KFC. Wow. They're like, you deserve this, bro. Everybody just like, they're open hand slapping this guy. Like, that's disrespectful. Like, but you was acting disrespectful, so we all finna slap you, bro. Oh, man. I just thought it was, you know, it's a thing because of the females, and then the guy, you know, Let me read some comments. It says, appreciate these men. I hope more men stand up for women. Whenever you see anyone getting harassed, this is what you should do. I agree with that comment. Another one says, very, very good. It says, fastest order delivered by KFC. Another one says, good job. It says, good step by employees. Very good teamwork. The employees need a bonus. Respect for the blue shirt guy. Good job, KFC boys. Welcome to World E KFC. WWE, my bad. Anyways, let's move on. It's kind of boring. This says, stop enforcing the idea that you need to be in a relationship to be happy. Sometimes you just need to give indigenous people their land back. I just thought that twist there was really, really great. Thought it was going in a different direction there. Will Smith trying to get back on the internet.
Say about you. They're going to try to belittle you. They're going to try to cellularize your name. They're going to try to sabotage you. They're going to just try to do anything they're trying to do to destroy you.
Police raided a famed yoga school.
I'm trying to tell y'all, don't worry about what people say about you. I'm trying to tell y'all, don't worry about what people say about you. They're going to try to belittle you. They're going to try to cellularize your name. They're going to try to sabotage you. They're going to just try to do anything they're trying to do to destroy you. I'm trying to tell y'all, don't worry about what people say about you. They're going to try to belittle you. They're going to try to cellularize your name. They're going to try to sabotage you. They're going to just try to do anything they're trying to do to destroy you.
It says, nobody likes having their name sabotaged. Oh man, yeah, it's funny because it's like you want to hear them, it's like you understand them, but you don't. They're like saying their words all wrong. It's like, what? Wait, just hurt my brain. I'm trying to understand. Your brain twists the words back around to the right way too sometimes. But they do it too many times, it just fucks you up. Police raided a famed yoga school. Yeah, this story keeps popping up. Let me see, is there sound on this?
Cult that recruited geishas for human trafficking. 19 people were arrested in a massive raid of the yoga school of Buenos Aires. Police seized over $1 million in cash, gold and silver coins, titles to properties owned by students, cell phones, computers, and a box of VHS tapes. The yoga school allegedly recruited women into apprenticeships to perform sexual acts with people of power. This would then lead to them earning points to ascend to higher levels in the group, investigators say. Members who reach the 7th level of spiritual evolution in the yoga school would supposedly gain eternal reincarnation. At least 170 members paid monthly fees of anywhere from $200 to $10,000 or personal property to advanced levels, police say. Members allegedly drained members of the group and their patients of their wealth and isolated them from their families. Arrests by police also include the group's 84-year-old founder, Juan Perkowitz, who sits at the top of the 7-level pyramid. Only Perkowitz could decide who was able to ascend levels. At least 7 women were allegedly recruited into the group in Argentina, and teenagers were exploited. In the early 90s, the group faced criminal allegations related to sexual exploitation before the charges were eventually thrown out.
So how long have they been doing this shit and getting away with it? This is a crazy, crazy story. It says Argentine police have arrested 19 after raid on famed yoga school. Investigators allege the cult used so-called geishas to engage in sex acts with people of power for money and influence. At least 7 women were allegedly recruited into the group in Argentina and teenagers and were sexually exploited. So it's like, man, it's a whole mind fuck. I can totally see how people can get caught up in stuff like this. Let me read another one. Comment. It says, it's like Scientology, but with yoga. It says, I'll be looking out for the Netflix docu-series on this. Who wants eternal reincarnation? Please don't send me back to this planet as anything ever again. They're leaving out the part where they have 3 of these yoga schools in the U.S. 2 New York and Vegas. What? L.A., New York, and Vegas. Okay. See, so the shit is happening. I'm telling y'all. Let me read another one. It says, this has the same business model as Scientology. It says, not one billionaire got arrested. It says in the 90s, that's what I said. In the 90s, it's 2020 something now. So what is that? Like 30 years at least since they've been doing this? OMG. Let me read another comment. Bikram Yogi, anyone? This is downward facing dark. That 84-year-old is not walking. He's like he's on his deathbed. But why are we protecting the identities of sex traffickers? More pseudo-spiritualists preying on vulnerable people who are trying to better themselves. What the F are the faces blurred? Who is Vice protecting? Quite ridiculous. You mentioned they were accused in early 1990s, so they have been doing this for 30 years. Because those people are victims, bro. That's why they're blurring out their face, bro. These people, just because they were a part of this thing doesn't mean that they're, criminals. A lot of these people are getting brainwashed and freaking mentally fucked. This is a whole mental mind fuck. Whoever is running the show is the person that's mind fucking all these people. Anyways. Don't get caught up in the cult. It's easier said than done. I wrote a paper that said science is a cult. Dun, dun, dun. Man, this looks so delicious. It's a lot of work to make a sandwich, but oh my God, that's going to be a delicious sandwich. And I love it to see these people cooking outdoors. I like to do this. I cook outside too, like this. Not like this specifically, but I like to go to the beach and cook on the beach. Man, that looks delicious. That looks delicious. No offense to you, vegetarians and vegans out there, or Hindus, because I'm sure that was beef. To each his own.
Vehicle in the state of Tennessee. Yes, I've lived here for over a year. Yes, I'm late to the game. That's beside the point. I was there for about 20 minutes. I heard several people get new license plates for their cars, and a social dynamic was going on that was fascinating to observe. Each person was asked, would you like the plate that says, "In God We Trust," or the generic plate? 100% of the people who were asked that question chose "In God We Trust." After the 5th or 6th person I heard make this choice out loud, it started becoming awkwardly obvious that this was not an aesthetic preference. This was a moral vote. I consider myself a Christian. I have been deeply impacted by the life and work of Jesus. I have visceral intimacy with this person we call God. I trust them. When the teller asked me which plate I wanted, I looked at the 2 options and I said, wow, this is a public statement, isn't it? I'll give you one guess which plate I chose. I chose the plate that says nothing about God. Why? Because I believe in religious freedom. I believe that the nature of God is not to impose a coercive, pressured demand for any kind of obligated allegiance. I believe God loves everyone regardless of what they believe. And in this context, I believe the statement, "In God We Trust," in this country is no longer about God at all. I chose the atheist, unbelieving license plate that has no vote for God because I'm convinced if Jesus were registering his vehicle in the state of Tennessee, he'd be picking the plate that is not in league with the religious elite who have used their power and influence to bully, pressure, and shame people into performing a certain way. I got this plate because I trust in God. I just got back from the clerk county's office to register my vehicle.
I love this. His statement right here. I love this post. It's so great. So great. So great. He said, if Jesus, you think Jesus would have put that Come on, you guys. Y'all gotta know what's going on. You're not freaking looking at it. Let me read it says, bring on the religious hate. Let's draw out the impurities of our culture. Typo, so it was hard to I had to decipher what he wanted to say. Comments. It says, did you go after you watched that video I sent you? And bravo, I agree. And I see those painted nails. I love men with painted nails. It's a thing. In God We Trust has always been a political statement. We didn't want to be like those godless commies. Making waves wherever you go. I also have this thing where I use acronyms to memorize things like license plates. So trying to create one for BKP, Brother Keeping Pride, Blueberry Cato Pancake. Haha, my brain can't think of anything cute right now. Yeah, it's getting too much when people want to connect everything with the spiritual message. Is this really what the life of Jesus came to? This is what it means to use God's name in vain. I agree with that. It says, dang, out of the ballpark, my friend. I would do the same thing. I guess my don't tread on me plate would not be your favorite. The statement, in God We Trust, is no longer about God at all. I agree with that comment. Another comment says, as a new follower, I'm attracted and in agreement with your view of God and religion in our society. For so long, I've also noticed the slow but methodical transformation of the love of Jesus becoming more of a mindset for right-wing hate and indoctrination. Thanks for confirming my view of putting others before myself. Another comment, haha, wow, I did the same thing a few years back when I had to get a plate in Indiana. I didn't feel I had to advertise my religion. I'm in NC, and I purposely chose the first flight. Same reasons for me. What do you say? Same reasons for me, plus it's the OG plate and a true statement about the history of the state. Yeah, so it's like, I believe in God, who's looking, who's watching, that's what I'm supposed to say, right? Yeah. Jesus, in Jesus' name, yeah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. That's what I'm supposed to say, right? Everybody looking at me? Okay. Yeah, I don't want people to dislike me. I want to fit in, like, well, can you read some scriptures, man? I don't know no scriptures, bro. I just believe. I just follow the teachers of Jesus, Okay. We'll take that. Well, let me drop some verses on you. I know y'all don't get it. Whatever. It says, he's a rising GOP star and reportedly wants to ban science in elementary schools. This is MSNBC posting this, by the way, so disclaimer. North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, a Republican, may well be the most bigoted official in the United States with the least name recognition. In May, Robinson claimed God intended men to lead society, citing the Bible's reference to David, not Davida, being sent to face off against Goliath. He's called homosexuality and the transgender experience filth. He suggests people who think Christianity shouldn't dictate the U.S. law should leave the country. He claimed an agnostic Jew and satanic Marxist created the movie Black Panther to pull shekels out of the black people's pockets. And he's threatened to fill government officials with some lead using an AR-15 if the government gets too big for its britches. He's a full-on extremist, and he reportedly has a new ludicrous belief to share with the message. Science and history shouldn't be taught to students until they reach 6th grade. What? First through fifth grade. Hold on. Get off here. First through fifth grades don't need to be teaching social studies, he wrote, according to local NBC affiliate WRAL-TV, which obtained an advanced copy of his upcoming book. We don't need to be teaching science. We surely don't need to be talking about equity and social justice. OMG. Let me read some more. The bar is low and the GOP like it that way. Dear Lord, please, please don't amplify him. Stop. Self-hating, bro. Self-hating, bro. It's like whack-a-mole. One fades, the other one pops up, and it's always a radical view. This is the new Republican Party said. Oh, he sounds preachy. Maybe he should start with changing his name from Jaham Jim or Bob, etc. I don't know. You know what I always say about these people? You make a lot of money by talking like that. You know, a lot of these people, I feel like they don't really believe that stuff that they're saying, but they know it's animating. It animates people. It's visceral. It gets people going. You know, that's the point. Like I say, it makes money. Candace Owens makes money. You know, go down the list. They make money off of this. You know, because people swallow it up. They eat it up, and it's great coming from a black man saying this stuff because it gives it a little more legitimacy for whatever reason. It makes it more like, okay, look, even this guy thinks this way. I'll tell you what I think. I think this guy probably doesn't think this way, but he knows that it'll get him a political career and a whole bunch of money in his pocket, and that's what he wants. He goes home and he don't give a fuck. He's not looking out for the community, not trying to help nobody no kind of way. He's just making money, you know. He's just advancing his career. I mean, you can't judge him, right? The way the system is set up, it's the American dream to make sure that you and your family is living good. After this is over, if he hasn't already, this dude is going to be rich and famous. I guarantee you that. Driving Porsches and going to the parties with the swanky parties and shit. That's what he wants. I want to play a video because my throat, I've been talking a lot. My mouth is dry. So y'all give me a second. I'm still waiting for people to. Bernie backed. Okay, yeah, this guy who won in the primaries. What state is this? I want to say it's Florida. It's Florida. Ron DeSantis state. Let me play this, and I'm going to catch my tongue. Am I sharing? Yes.
What's that? Is that the sound of hope? Potentially. So last night, history was made in Florida. While millennials have just begun to join Congress, Gen Z is now right behind, with the soon-to-be first Gen Z congressperson, 25-year-old former Uber driver turned activist Maxwell Frost, winning his Democratic primary race in Florida's 10th district. And I'm going to discuss why Maxwell Frost is such an exciting candidate and brings hope not just to Florida, but to, I think, the future of the Democratic Party. So first here, this is the result in his race. Again, Florida's 10th district, winning by 34.7% to 24.7% against Randolph Bracy. Randolph Bracy is a Florida state senator, somebody who was, backed by the Democratic Party establishment. Alan Grayson here in third place with 15%. He is another progressive in the race, has been in Congress before. There is now some allegations about his personal life that have hurt him. So even with splitting the vote here, potentially, we have to assume the progressive vote between Grayson and Frost, Maxwell Frost coming up big with this win by about 10 points. So an incredibly impressive victory here for somebody so young, someone who is a political newcomer, but is very active in the community and knows how to speak to people and what motivates people out to vote, which we will get to. So he tweeted out here with his victory, "We won. Thank you so much to all of our supporters, endorsers, volunteers, and staff. We won because of our message, love, that no matter who you are, you deserve healthcare, a livable wage, and to live free from gun violence. We made history tonight. Thank you so much, Orlando." So before I get to a clip of him on MSNBC discussing his victory. I want to show you just his campaign ad here that he released about a month ago to give you an idea of his fight up to this point.
2 months ago, I confronted Governor DeSantis on ending gun violence. And what did he say?
Nobody wants to hear from you.
I'm Maxwell Alejandro Frost, and I've been making sure they hear from us for 10 years. Protecting the right to choose, passing laws to end gun violence. If we want bold change on guns, reproductive health, and affordable housing, we can't keep electing the same politicians. I approve this message because when they want to silence our voices,
Nobody wants to hear from you.
I won't let them.
So Frost ran on not just incredibly popular issues, but also ran against Ron DeSantis. And you're going to see a little more of that in the clip I'll show you later, him discussing his victory on MSNBC. But first, hear more from the Washington Post. So Frost campaigned on support for Medicare for all, demilitarizing the police, legalizing prostitution and recreational marijuana, expunging all marijuana convictions, and restoring voting rights to the incarcerated. He was backed by Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. And Bernie here tweeting out after the victory, saying another progressive win. As a 25-year-old incoming congressman, Maxwell Frost is going to bring a much-needed perspective about the issues affecting working families, and I very much look forward to working with him. So if you want a deeper look at his issues page, and I've discussed this with other great candidates, people like John Fetterman, for example, they are very specific about what they support. So you can go to ending gun violence, you can see a point-by-point breakdown of what he supports. This is how you can tell when a Democratic candidate, actually cares to do something, when they are specific. The more vague they are, the less there is to hold them to. When they are specific about what they're going to fight for, then it is clear this is someone that actually cares about these issues, is involved, and wants to fight for this stuff. So, again, all support of Green New Deal, Thrive Back, again, very specific about certain bills they support. But let me show you a bit of his appearance here on Lawrence O'Donnell's show on MSNBC shortly after his victory.
How did you do it? 25-year-old convinces that congressional district that you're the person to do this job. How did you do it?
So look, it just wasn't me. It was the movement that we built, our volunteers, the people who are knocking doors every day, making phone calls. And at the end of the day, it's our message. It's a hopeful message, one that says that no matter who you are, you deserve health care, you deserve a good job, you deserve a union, you deserve the right to an abortion. And these are the things that we were talking about with folks in this district. But the other thing is also looking at the context of this campaign. We won this in the midst of a dark year in Florida because of Governor Ron DeSantis. So it was hope despite that. And I truly believe that's why we won this race and why we're going to win the general in November. This governor has said any issue that you can think of is the problem and is the fault of gay folks, of our LGBTQ plus community, of black folks, of immigrants. He has scapegoated every vulnerable community for every single issue that he has failed to solve himself. And so that is part of the reason why we won this campaign. It's about the positive message despite what he's done. But we're moving forward. We're looking towards November. We're going to elect, Congressman Charlie Crist to be the next governor of Florida. And we're going to remove Ron from the governor's mansion.
We'll see about that.
So part of what this victory does is it highlights how important it is not to just completely write off an entire state because it's who currently runs it. So yes, Ron DeSantis is a terrible governor, but he does not represent the entirety of Florida. There are many Democratic voters or just, working class voters in Florida that do not like Ron DeSantis, that want to move in a different direction. All they have to be is activated in the right direction. They need some idea of where to go, where to put that energy. And one example of that is this victory by Maxwell Frost in his district, in the 10th district. So, we're going to see the potential there for getting Ron DeSantis out in the fall with Charlie Crist. But regardless, understand that even in the reddest states, there are pockets of people there who simply are, for whatever reason, unable to get out of the situation that they are in, often due to poverty, due to lack of opportunity, and are stuck in crappy states, or should say crappy states, but states run by crappy people. And it's important to continue fighting for those people and giving those people a voice. So the Democratic Party, pulling out of certain states or just writing off certain states as unwinnable is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you have to actually be willing to invest in those states if you're going to grow the party there and be able to move out of the situation that state is currently in. And I think Florida is an example of that. Florida could become the new Georgia. You could have a state here that could flip blue if given the right candidates and given the right attention. But you have to be willing to actually invest in the state. Now, a little more on Frost here and his history, where he comes from, what motivates him. So this is from Washington Post. The minimum age to hold a seat in Congress is 25. Frost has never run for public office, but he doesn't consider himself a political newcomer. He started working in politics when he was 15, protesting gun violence after the deadly mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut in 2012. He went on to become the national organizing director for March for Our Lives, the group organized by students who survived the deadly mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida in 2018. He also worked for the ACLU in Florida, supporting voting rights for formerly incarcerated citizens. Frost refers to his as the mass shootings generation. And this really gives you an idea of what these kids have grown up in. This is all they've known, are these mass shootings at school. So to have someone like this motivated by the obvious insanity going on in society really, to me, gives hope for the future. You have people here motivated to do a lot more. Every generation, it seems, millennials to Gen Z, have become a lot more activated, a lot more interested in trying to effect change, because they have been negatively impacted and held down their entire lives for a variety of reasons. Be it student debt, be it mass shootings, be it lack of opportunity, low wages. So you have here a whole slew of new candidates in these generations, millennials and Gen Z in particular, looking at the potential for what society can be. And I think Frost represents that hope of where things can go if the right people are in charge. And one last thing to note here. So David Hogg, of course, of March for Our Lives, also very excited by this victory, tweeting out, "If you feel hopeless about the future, you should know last night 25-year-old Maxwell Frost, who was March for Our Lives' first organizing director, defeated a guy who was a hedge fund manager and congressman at the same time. Evil wins a lot, but not always." So again, showing you the importance of bringing hope to places that are often written off. So Frost is expected to win his seat in November, as he's in a heavy Democratic district, a plus 14 Democratic district. So he's expected to become the youngest member of Congress. To have someone like this with these activist roots, someone who's an actual fighter, fighting for these issues and understands how to fight Republicans.
Yeah, I like his political take on things, because he goes and looks, even though he's way left, I like how he pulls up the numbers and stuff. Like, you can think about it yourself. You can take your point of view. He has his point of view, but you don't have to have his point of view. His information is good. The caption underneath the video says, "A huge victory in Florida's 10th district Democratic primary last night, as Maxwell Frost is now the soon-to-be first Gen Z congressman, winning on a platform of hope in a state run by Governor Ron DeSantis." Let me read some comments. It says, "My union backed him. That's why I voted for him. Makes me feel even better. Bernie backed him. Love Bernie." Another comment, "I hope we see more of this. The elderly need to move along out of government, and I don't mean to be ageist. Clearly, there's some great older guys like Bernie. It's just many think younger generations still have the same opportunities they had, and we don't. They're sliding into home base on the older financial system as we keep being thrown balls that the empire labels strikes. We can't even get to first base, and they wonder why we aren't breeding." Yeah, the world has changed, and it's a lot of people that's in charge are still moving the old way, the older system that doesn't work, hasn't worked in forever. It worked for them because of special circumstances, and we don't have those special circumstances. Let me read some more. It says, "We need to install as many Bernie successors as possible. I hope this guy inspires other young people to run for government office. We need leaders who solve problems, not perpetuate them for their own financial gain, as it is the norm now. Let me read some more. I'm proud to have voted for him. I just wish it wasn't so difficult to find information on my candidates. It was very difficult, and I think that is by design. I talk about that all the time too. For people who do vote out there, you know that the primaries are the ones you need to go out there. The little contests, the local ones, and they barely advertise that stuff. And even less do you know about the candidates. It's so hard to find. League of Women Voters is a website that I know of that you can find information on voters. For Democratic, it's a Democratic thing or whatever, but it shows all the candidates on whatever tickets they're on. And I think that's more than just Texas that they do that. So that's a pretty good website. That's about the only one I can really think of that can help with that, because it's a real issue trying to find information about the candidates that you want to vote for, especially for those smaller ones. And those are the most important ones. So, yeah, that's a thing. And he said, you think it's by design? Yeah, I think it's by design too. It says, hope this works out. The hard work is ahead for him, assuming he makes it to Congress. He will make it to Congress, because understanding the politics of those districts, that's a Democratic district. So like there's no Republican that's going to win that seat. So that's the reason why those primaries are really important. Those are the ones that people don't freaking pay attention to, because this guy, you know, he's going to go up against some random person that's going to lose, because in that district, it always goes Democrat. So you know, in a lot of these races, it's like that on the Republican side too. These seats are going to go to whoever wins the primary, you know, in a lot of these. And then we don't even come out for the freaking primary vote. Like, we just want to vote for the main one. And sometimes in like this situation, it's just a formality. Anyways, politics. Let me read some more. It says, I was in one of his ad campaigns. I'm so honored to have helped reach out to the Orlando community. He is an amazing person, and I can't wait to see what he does in Congress. They're going to eat him up. They're going to chop him up. That's what's going to happen. I hate to be pessimistic, but it says, the fact that it happened in Florida is a pleasant surprise, as I was beginning to lose hope in the state. And again, these comments right here is so like ignorant, because again, like I said before, that particular district always runs Democrat. So I mean, you know, people don't understand the politics. Like, just because you have a Republican governor, all of the freaking Congress people could be Democrats or whatever, or vice versa, or whatever. Like, it's the intricate details. And then what people really need to understand is the stuff about the way that they draw up these districts, because you got packing and then cracking, and then, you know, they have these different ways. You know, that's another reason why this particular district they know it's going to go Democrat, is because they've already stuffed so many of these people that have the same kind of views into one district. And you were like, oh, they live around each other, so that's the reason why. No, not necessarily. Look at the way they draw up the districts. They'll exclude one street and add another street, just because they know how these people are over here. We're more segregated now than we've probably ever been. And that's another thing that people don't understand. So that makes it a lot easier for them to draw up those lines. They know where you guys live. They know your address. You don't have to even be registered to vote, but the registered voters are the ones that they look at. That's how they draw this up. They know where you live. They know your political views for the most part. They know where you're most likely going to vote. So they put you in this particular district or that particular district to benefit them. So basically, they choose their voters. A couple more. Congratulations. We need more like this young man. I just now learning about Frost, and I love him already. This is the energy we need up and down the ballot. We need this. We needed this when I was in high school. Then again, he hadn't started his political career yet. Back then, I was in high school for the Bush years. He is only 2 years older than me. I'm also a Hispanic activist. Our generation will change this planet because we don't have a choice. Hope's not gone. Just hold on. Oh, I love that. Let me copy this. I like that a lot. You know what they say? I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. So, but what we do, we don't teach them well at all. The ones that know stuff probably had educated themselves. But the children still are the future, you know. They're inheriting this world that we created. We left it a mess. We've been kicking the can down the road forever. Our generation kicked the can down the road. The generation before us kicked the can down the road. The generation before us kicked the can down the road. At some point, the can's going to end up at a cul-de-sac, bro. And you can't kick it down the road no more. So, and I think that's Generation Z. Maybe that's why they call them Generation Z. That's the last damn letter in the alphabet. It's like the can can't get kicked any further, and it has landed on their lap. And whether they want to or not, they're going to have to fix it because we didn't. Somebody got to do it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it, y'all. We can't keep going like this. Y'all know that this way we're living is unsustainable. Y'all can feel it. It's crazy too. The name of the show today is Internet Separated. So it's the idea that the internet, it seemed like, the whole idea was to connect us, to bring us closer together, so we could interact more with each other. But from what I can see is that it has the opposite effect. It has had the opposite effect. We're more isolated than ever with this weird feeling of connection because of the likes and shit. You know what I'm saying? The subscribes, the views. And we're all just sitting alone in our room like I am right now and broadcasting to people and making stuff and hoping that someone pays attention to it and likes it and whatever the hell. I'm not above the rest of them. I'm on here on the internet too, And, but really we're separated. We're so separated. We're so lonely, and we, the internet gives us this artificial connection. Like it makes us feel like we've made a connection with people, like that we're communicating with people and reaching out or whatever the hell. But we're not really. It's through this screen. It's through this fakeness. It's through this curtain. It's through this plastic, It's not really a real connection. It's not really a real, communication. Not really, I guess you could say it when we leave in texts or whatever and we texting back and forth, but that's not really what I mean. I mean that, you have the cam girls, the OnlyFans people, you have the TikTokers, you have let's call them content creators, and it's cool, I consider myself a content creator, but but what do these people do all day? Are they really interacting with people? Even the ones that have 350K, 1 million, 2 million subscribers, how much interaction with other people is really going on? I love being creative. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a part of society that's missing. And I think that's the reason why we have this explosion of these content creators, because we're starved in the area of being creative. We're starved in the area of art. We're starved in the area of being able to expand our mind and really think outside of the box. They say think outside of the box, but then they say not like that. So, but we're at the same time, that content creator is not really connecting with people very much. Maybe his art or his creation is, but you are not, and you are sitting there alone in your room creating stuff. But how much are you going out and interacting with people? Now, I used to do music, and the music crowd and the art crowd is kind of intertwined. It's always kind of local and underground and behind this curtain, you kind of got to know. And it's all the same groups too. It's all the same people, because you go to different events around the city and it's the same people, because these people are attracted to these kind of events. So the thing is, though, with the art, right? And the music, for you to be able to be successful in the art or the music, you have to have built like a community. You have to build like a connection with people, real people, and you can't do that really over the internet. Like the only way you can really do that is by being on the scene and chopping it up with these people and building relationships with these people. Because anybody that knows has been in the business, your success lies on the connections that you've made. It's simple as that. What they say, your network equals your net worth or some shit like that. So how well you network is how successful you're going to be in this, and that probably is true for everything, but I know it for a fact when it comes to music and art because I've been on that scene. So really every time you go to these events, you're networking, you're looking for connections, you're chopping it up with people, you're kind of looking for friends, you're kind of looking for people who kind of thinking like you or moving like you or trying to do something that you're trying to do, or maybe they don't even move like you and think like you, but you see a value that they could bring to something that you're doing, and that'll bring a value to something that they're doing. And if that other person sees that, then boom, y'all got a thing going. So anyway, so what my point is that the internet has us separated. And, I think we're lonely as hell, like I am right now, talking to myself on that on the mic, just expressing my thoughts. This is me being creative, but at the same time, it would be better if I could do this in front of a crowd, and actually move around and talk to people, real life people, that'll be much more impactful. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that, it seems like the internet was supposed to bring us together, but it seems like it has had the opposite effect. But then I think about it and I'm like, so is it because of the way we use the internet is the reason why it has separated us? Are we choosing to be more separated? And we're using the internet to be more separated because we want it to be more separated. And that's a dun 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 moment. Like, it makes me think, like, and then our society maybe is driving us into this. They want us to feel this way. They want us to feel lonely. They want us to feel separated. So, and we doing the job for them, creating these separations, all these different categories that we put ourselves in so that we can be separated from each other. So it's like, I think there's a reason for that, of course we're weaker if we're separated, we're a community animal, man. We're a community animal. We're not freaking we don't thrive well as individuals or whatever. Like, what I'm trying to say is the only way we accomplish things as humans is in a group. Like, I was watching a video and it was talking about even ideas and inventions. Then it's an illusion to say that these things were created by one person because they're always influenced. Even an idea got influenced, even an invention got influenced. And you really need to think about that in context of yourself and being successful in the world. And people feel like, Elon Musk's, he's so successful, but how many people helped him along the way? How many times was he inspired here, there, and here? If he was separated from all of these people, would he have been successful? Would he have accomplished what he did? I mean, come on, what's the reality on that? The reality is that he wouldn't. We need other people. That's how we do. That's how we move. That's how we create. That's how we grow. That's how we function. That's the reason why we're so dominant on this planet, is because it really has to do with our tool of communication. Our language is our greatest freaking technology that we use because we're intricate with it. And we can even use facial expressions, and this is part of our evolution. We have the eyes in the front of our face, and whenever somebody they post on the internet, they're like, they show it in slow motion. Do y'all recognize this guy? He did this crime, da 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 da. Anybody recognize him? Call in. And it's crazy because we're all humans and we all have the same similar facial structures, but we have this intricate communication that comes with faces, so we can really identify all those little bitty intricate differences. And so somebody else might not be able to tell these two people apart, but the person that knows them intricately can tell. Like a mom who has identical twins. So what I'm saying is our greatest technology is our ability to communicate, our ability to, that's our tool. And so that, so communication and cooperation is our great tool. That's how we do everything. And that's how we're successful, period. So when they tell you like you're an individual and you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, then they're full of shit, because that isn't how anything works. Not for humans. As long back into our evolution, we always lived in groups. If you were solitary, that was a freaking punishment. That was a freaking being banished. That was like going to prison. That was like death too, because you're most likely not going to make it out there alone, period. So we had to move around in groups for us to be alive, for us to grow and communicate and live and thrive. But they told y'all something different. Am I sharing this? This says, bad luck. Italy man tests positive for monkeypox, COVID-19, and HIV after trip to Spain. What the hell was this dude doing in Spain? I guess that was one of them vacations to remember. It rocked, right? He was blood. What they call sex and rock and roll. I mean, he had to been having a great fucking time, bro, to come back with monkeypox, COVID-19, and HIV. What the hell was you doing, bro? What were you doing? We want to hear this. Can y'all tell us? Can we get the guy's story, like from him, like what he was doing? Let me read the caption. It says, in what can truly be dubbed bad luck, an Italian man recently tested positive for monkeypox, COVID-19, and HIV after returning from a trip to Spain. The matter came to the fore in a recently published report from Journal of Infection. The scientists have registered the first ever documented case of co-infection of monkeypox virus, acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV-2, and human immune deficiency virus. The case is that of a 36-year-old Italian man who had gone to Spain for 5 days earlier in June this year. Less than 2 weeks after his return, the man developed symptoms. The man developed symptoms such as headache, fatigue, and more. He subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. As the days progressed, the man also developed rash on his skin and face. Given the increasing severity of the condition, he was referred to the Infectious Disease United for further treatment. This was when he tested positive for COVID-19. They already said that. The patient's biological specimens were collected from his respiratory tract and were subjected to RT-PCR. The reports confirmed the presence of the monkeypox infection. Meanwhile, he also tested positive for HIV. The 36-year-old man was discharged from the hospital after a week as he recovered from both COVID-19 and monkeypox. The treatment of HIV was initiated after the man's recovery from the other two infections. God damn, this dude is having a time, bruh. Let me read some comments. It says, how did we get here? Oh, that's it. It says, send pic. Hello, Europe. Oh, we got somebody. What's up, Pat?
What's up, man?
How you feel?
Shoot, feel pretty good, bro. How about yourself?
I can't complain.
Yeah, I'm got a quick little pass through. I'm over here at the spot in Austin.
All right.
But
did you hear this? This guy, it says bad luck. Italian man tests positive for monkeypox, COVID-19, and HIV after a trip to Spain.
yeah, I was just listening, bro. I was about to say this is really some great advertisement for tourism for Spain.
I'm telling you, like maybe I should rethink that trip.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think you'll be fine. Like I say, this guy was probably wilding. He had to be wilding the fuck out in Spain.
Well, There ain't no telling. Well, they said there was a certain way. I don't really believe that's the way. The only way it passes, but it's still pretty. I mean, does it give any? It don't really show him. It just says that that's
Mm-mm.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably better that way because, yeah, you know how people are. So, but yeah, but he got HIV. It's like the COVID part is it my conspiracy theory brain lights up with that because earlier they were talking about HIV and COVID-19 and all of that shit. So, but then we got the whole thing where we're going over we're getting off the pandemic, and now they're on a monkeypox thing. So, but if you look at it and it says monkeypox and HIV, so he had to be doing he had to be wilding out. Like the COVID-19 could have just happened, but monkeypox and HIV, how do you think that happened?
Well, see, that's the thing. They're not gonna give him his status of well, he's had shots or not, because the likeliness of it is that because of like new studies, the things that they're finding is that it actually weakens your immune system.
Right.
So when it does that, that means that what they call it. I mean, almost anything can be considered an autoimmune disease. You know what I'm saying? After any kind of infection can start that.
And then that's kind of scary, but let's be careful when we talk about this because a lot of information has been coming out now about the CDC. They changed the spokesperson or whatever the hell. They're renaming shit. They're trying to rebrand themselves because so much information has come out that went against what they were saying that whole time. And then there's also the research related to, after you catch it and you, like you said, being able to catch other things and even catching that again, they're saying, it says you're more, after getting the jab, you're more likely, it's easier for you to catch it again.
Well,
and other things. So it's like
that's
autoimmune. It makes me think about the autoimmune. So like, let's be careful when we talk about this, but the jab and then autoimmune diseases, making it easier for you to be sick with regular ass shit like a fucking cold or pneumonia.
Well, you might think of it as being something, okay, well, it's only this, but the weaker your system is, the easier it is to get one and hold on to it, like keep it for.
And that's how it becomes, right? Because a cold, pneumonia is nothing but a cold that fucking didn't go away, right? And the same thing with COVID-19, right? That ain't nothing but like a cold that's just really fucked up.
Yeah, more like a flu, but
yeah,
it's still no. Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, nobody really wants to really say it, because you get demonized. Because I mean, so many people who's done it, they don't want to accept the fact that it was a mistake. And it's mostly people who have, taken multiple jabs already.
I'm so glad they didn't get me. I was watching something. I don't know if I have it on here. Australia is firing teachers right now because they didn't get the jab. Right now in 2022.
Well, that's one thing where people who that they can do it to is who they're gonna do it to. So I mean, if you're somewhat controlled through their system, whether it's through a job, through privileges or whatever, they're going to try to use that just because their agenda is much bigger than what people think. Like it's other things involved. So I mean, regardless of what people are finding out, everybody is not as smart as others. Some people won't find out the truth until maybe the day of, like they just like so they just starts, they get that message from within that just says, what, everything just starts clicking, but it's too late. So I mean, that's why it's like you just doing your own study instead of just taking people's word for it, especially when you that where propaganda lives, what I'm saying, which is the news, like mainstream news. You gotta. I mean, it's just certain things you gotta be able to say. It was something I was saying to myself earlier. It's like being a man is being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, because and then it's like in our society, it's really women more than anything, but it's our society in whole. I'm not blaming women, but I'm just saying the whole thing about being wrong, and it's really, like you said, uncomfortable, because it's really uncomfortable to be able to be like, okay, you know what I'm saying, I was wrong,
Well, I'm in the midst of everybody that's that might see it one way, and the majority. I'm like almost believe that the majority. Well, no, it's probably not the majority, but it's the ones who are loud about it or make it seem like they are the majority. But they, they'll try to talk bad about you or talk down, and you're a bad person because you won't just do this for yourself and people around you. But it's like when you hear people talk like that, it's like, okay, you just haven't done as much research as I have. You haven't read as many articles by doctors and clinicians and like people from all different walks, look at different statistics and stuff. Like, you just haven't seen what I've seen, so I'm okay with my decision.
And then years pass, and these people still haven't stumbled upon the information or haven't, allowed themselves to take it in, or like what I really think is they just don't want to admit that they were wrong about it.
That's the ego part of it, and bro, I already believe that like there's real close family member that love me to death. I'm sure they still love me, but with the whole point, I see that. Yeah.
My time at the CDC and watching it even beforehand.
My bad. Go ahead. I was about to play that.
With everything that's played on, like, to me, I'm not gonna say who it is, but there's somebody who throughout my life has not been who they should have been to me to begin with. Because I mean, and I'm thankful to some extent, because I would probably think more like they do. You know what I'm saying? I would, I depend more on what I see for myself than what trying to, worry about what other people say, because I know what I've done. I know what kind of research I've done, so.
Let me play this, because this is them kind of backtracking, like, listen.
And that is, there were important.
Director, do you think the lockdowns went too far?
Many of those lockdowns predated me at the CDC. Here is what I can tell you since my time at the CDC and watching it even beforehand. And that is, there were important decisions that we had to make in imperfect time with imperfect data. And we always updated those decisions as those data were evolving. As we got more data, we had more information by which we could make better decisions. So I don't necessarily want to revisit the question of lockdowns that predated me. But what I will say is we have updated our guidance in the context of new information. And sometimes we have to make a decision before we have all the information that we want. And I've said to our agency, not making a decision is a decision in and of itself.
Well, they should have not made a decision.
well, the problem with that is, because there's proof that shows that this technology that they're saying is so new has been, like, they've been doing it for years, like since the 2012, like the same thing. They've been this whole everything that been experimenting. They've been studying it for a while, so it's not like brand new to them. There's been some trials, animals or whatever, but they were never successful. And that's the problem. Now, that to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, all of a sudden now you're seeing more, like they're saying what they're saying now is because they know more people have more information.
Right. It's harder to keep a lid on it.
Yeah.
Let me read some comments underneath the tweet. The first one says, I don't know which one of these. Go ahead.
Let me say this, because I can't stay on too long. I'm over here. I'm hang with Junior for a while. You know, he got school in the morning, so I was gonna give a few minutes to the show, and
All right.
yeah. So go ahead. We'll.
Yeah, man. I appreciate any time, bro. Like I always say. Let me read comments underneath the tweet. It says imperfect data, which was used to justify forcing people to take a vaccine or lose their jobs, businesses, children, etc. These people belong in prison.
I agree. I mean, you know, they claim to be the professionals and the gurus, the well studied, and you know, if you don't have the right information, like you don't go, you know, all what they call it, no holds barred on a situation as if you know.
Yeah. And then you closing you know all the small businesses all the restaurants that went away.
Man, say bro, it's I'm sure it's more than just restaurants, but I mean those are the ones the things that we know about. But I mean, just think about some of the little small businesses that you know people were running, where you know it's a 900 square foot little business where they doing what they do, but I have my theories on different things, because even up to the last couple of months they were still trying to push real hard on knocking down the middle class.
Yeah. So that's what I was about to say. A lot of people entered the gig economy too, as a result, like Uber driving, DoorDash, and stuff like that, and they sold it to the people like, yo, yeah, this is going to give you more freedom and whatever. You can make money on your own time and da-da-da-da-da. But it's really to not give people benefits, to not give them no, work-life balance, to pinch them, not know how much they're going to make next month.
Mm-hmm. But one thing about that is that I've been living that way for a long time. I mean, when I was in the car business, I got paid once a month, and it all depended on what output I had. So, you know what I'm saying? 15th there, they gave everybody a $500 check. Then, you don't get settled up until the 5th of the 5th of the month, after they done figured out what you actually sold and this, that, and the other. So I mean, I'm kind of like, I've been in that kind of life for a long time, making percentage even as a truck driver, you know what I'm saying, just based on my output. So like that's what I've been used to for decades already. But
that's how I live too. But you have to pay your insurance yourself, right? Do you do your own 401k?
Yeah, now like I do all that kind of stuff for myself. Now, the company that I'm leased to, I pay them a certain amount for them to take care of all that kind of stuff. So, I'm not behind on any of that. They got people who specifically do that. So, you know what I'm saying? That's one of my safeguards of, going through a lot of this stuff, is because, I don't have to worry about all of the little. It becomes a lot of stuff too,
Yeah, so that's why my point is that wouldn't it be nice to have somebody take care of that for you? And then the other side of that is nights, weekends, holidays, vacation time. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody wants to run a business. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't for everybody.
Well, you know what? I don't mind the part about running a business, but when you're running a business and working, there tends to be places that you forget. Like your focus is in one area to make sure you stay safe and you get loads delivered, doing those types of things. And then okay, if some permit expires and I'm busy focusing on getting these loads done, then I'm riding without a permit, and then now I'm a not only get a ticket, get a fine, and then have to still pay the permit. And then like that's how businesses go under, is not being able to have those types of things in place. Because if you're spending money on fines and this and that and the third all the time, like that's gonna hurt you.
But,
Yeah.
Let me read some more comments. It says the entire corrupt administration is evil. It says, what a criminal. She belongs in prison for life. Charge her with crimes against humanity. Strip her of every license she holds. Make her work at a morgue. Another one says bullshit. Another one says just blame it on President Trump. But people got to remember, they just put her in there. I want to say the person just flipped over.
Who?
That chick.
What chick from where?
The chick from the CDC, because I don't even recognize her. This chick right here, I barely recognize her. She looks slightly familiar, but whoever the hell they had before, I can't even think of it right now. It was somebody else. Was it Fauci who was doing the CDC?
Yeah, he's the head of. He was the head. Like he's forfeiting his job now.
Yeah. Well, he's old. He's been in the game for 50 years. I'm just saying it's a perfect time to step out. I'm not saying it's not, but he's been in the game.
He should have did that last year, 2 years ago. That's what
before this even started. Like
yeah.
Like I'm gonna hand this one over.
But no, but he purposely stayed. Like they probably made him stay to like look.
You got to take this on. We want you to.
If you
want your
retire,
face.
if you want to retire peacefully, you come on and do what we started, and
finish this
job.
job.
They wasn't gonna find nobody that was gonna lie as good as him.
Well, it's his face. It has the what do you call it? It's the freaking expert. Like he has the.
Half the people didn't know who he was until just
that's true.
2019.
That's true. That's true. But the people that do know, he was looked at as, somebody who knows what he's talking about.
Well, he, because of his long resume of where he's been and what he's done, what he was a part of, that's the things that they were trying to play on to make it seem like, somebody who just got in here, because now, like, like most people will be happy for anybody other than to see him. Like even the people who respected and loved him within the, follow everything he said. Like now they're at a point like this, like I was a fool. Like anytime they see his face, they're angry. So like anybody now is gonna be better than what he represents now. Like you can have a GED with just a life science, a B in life science when you were in high school. They'd rather listen to them than somebody listen to him, because you got about the same chance.
I see you have a high view of these people.
Oh, I love them. Total respect.
Let me play this. I want to get into some Biden, but before I do that, I want to look at this. This is the images, because they came out with the images of Jupiter recently, because they got some really cool pictures. And anyway, so this right here is a picture to give you a size understanding of how big Jupiter is. So you're not driving, you said. You can look at the screen. No. This screen is showing these planets by size. So here at the bottom, you have the moon for Earth's moon, and it has Pluto and Ceres. I don't know about Ceres that much.
That's a new one, but I mean, it's got to be just as dwarf as Pluto, right? Like
right.
Pluto
It's small. It's smaller than Pluto, as this illustration shows.
Like 5 times smaller. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's thin to like a rock.
Right. So how can you call that a planet? And it's kind of like Pluto too, because it's smaller than the moon.
if it's falling into alignment with the within the solar system, if it's because I mean, really,
we got the asteroid belt. It does that.
No, man, no. But does it fall in sync with the rest of the planets?
Yeah, it's circulating the sun just like the rest of them. They all got different orbits, but it's orbiting the sun just like them. Let me
I guess. All right.
I think there used to be a planet there too. There's something to that. So okay, so the next is Mercury in size, and then Mars, then Venus, and Earth. Just a little bit bigger than Venus.
Yeah.
But that's pretty. That's one thing that's weird about Earth is because it's kind of big for a rocky planet. So, and that's why they think that that's why we got the moon and maybe even the asteroid belt. Another planet crashed into Earth, and once it coalesced, it was bigger. So
I was listening to your boy the other day. Well, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, let me finish this right quick. It goes to Neptune and Uranus, how big they are as compared to the Earth, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Pretty freaking big, you see?
Well, I mean, they don't get talked about a whole lot. Because I mean, with them being so big, because I mean, that's probably about what's both of them about the same size. So I mean, that seems to be like 10 times, 6 to 10 times bigger than Earth.
Yeah, pretty fucking big. But they're considered ice giants or what is it called? Ice giants or whatever. So it's like, and then too, they don't know much about the they don't know much about those atmospheres. So that's probably why they don't get talked about as much, because we just don't know as much about them. And then you got Saturn and Jupiter. And so this illustration kind of tripped me out because I didn't realize Saturn was so close to the size of Jupiter. I always knew Jupiter was big as fuck, but I didn't realize how big Saturn was.
Yeah. Never really. I kind of knew that they were bigger, but I didn't realize they were like. That's crazy.
Yeah, look at the Earth down here. Look at the moon. Look at what was that? Sirius. Sirius looks like a pin dot.
So those, I mean, are those the main things keeping the solar system balanced, or like, are they?
That's one way to look at it. I mean, they're very important to our solar system, especially Jupiter for us. Jupiter helps us out so much because all of the freaking asteroids and shit that comes in our near atmosphere, our near solar system, gets sucked up by Jupiter's fucking gravity because it's so fucking big. And it's like they don't know much about it. They know that as you go into it, the like gravity or whatever, it gets so hard. Like they can't get anything to go further. They think it's like just gases, and the gases keep getting more and more like pressurized as you go further into the atmosphere. But they haven't found any land yet. They can't get anything to go, as their instruments get destroyed before it ever gets to some land. So they don't know. It's just freaking gases, and it's freaking really pressurized as you go into it. So yeah, but it sucks up all of the freaking everything that comes into our little area. It sucks it up and they hit that planet instead of us. Really good for us to have. That's why it's so crazy. The Earth is in the perfect little spot, like the Goldilocks zone, just far enough from the sun, to have liquid water. You know what I'm saying? Perfect, and just close enough to not fucking burn to death or whatever the hell, and not be frozen. And then it has these other planets in the solar system that acts as like protectors. Uranus and Neptune is further out, but Jupiter is closer to us, and it freaking protects us. It's our big buddy. You could call it father and mother here, with Saturn over here to the left.
Yeah, I would definitely use that analogy.
And then let's see the sun here. So they're gonna give you the perspective of how big the sun is compared to this. So Jupiter is big as hell there, but look at the size of Jupiter and Saturn compared to the sun.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That puts things in perspective.
For real, for real.
And how important is what's going on the little dot here, or that's Earth? We can't even see it, barely. In the perspective of just our solar system, not even counting the universe, how important is it really what's going on here on this little dot right here that's floating around in space?
Man, that's why people need to wisen up.
Stop tripping. Stop being so fucking like it's the end of the world with your freaking because your relationship came to an end.
I mean, every 10 years, every so often, I mean, they've been doing the same, fear tactic for thousands of years already. Like I'm sure, like before, this new way of calculating time was considered or started being used. Shoot, they was doing the same little thing. Want everybody to be afraid that it's the last day is coming, and if you believe it,
and they just making money or whatever, like controlling you or whatever their agenda is, because you become like just a freaking a tool.
That's it.
I have some pictures. Let me go to the pictures before I wrap this up. Something you want to say? Just, I'm just gonna do this real quick. This is some pictures. Am I on the post? Let me go to the post. Yeah, these are these the Jupiter pictures? No, this is the Helix Nebula. It's a planetary nebula located in the constellation Aquarius at about 650 light years from the Earth. The central star of nebula, a white dwarf remnant of the star that exploded about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, gives the resemblance of an eye of universe. Looks like an eye. That's why it's so cool.
Is it coming into this? Is it coming into the solar system, or where is it spotted?
No, it's just another. This is a whole nother like galaxy.
Oh wow.
I have. Hold on. Am I on my shit? I gotta be careful on this damn shit. Oh, I'm not on it. And I have some stuff on Biden. Some. Fuck. How come I can't go to? I don't do this often. I gotta be careful with this. Okay, here we go. Biden. Am I sharing?
Where are you? Are you still playing? Oh.
Keeping my campaign promise. For the people who need the help the most. Hey folks, I wanted you to hear it right from me. We put out a plan to bring relief to millions of working and middle-class people with student loans. Here's what you should know. We're going to forgive $10,000 of federal student loan debt, keeping my campaign promise. For the people who need the help the most, the folks who went to school on Pell Grants, we're going to forgive a total of $20,000. We're going to target this relief. Help is going to go to people making less than $125,000 a year. Next, we're going to give anyone with undergraduate loans a chance to sign up and cap your loan payments at 5% of your monthly income. I also want to make sure folks have enough time to transition back to paying regularly. So we're going to extend the student loan pause one final time through December 31st of this year. There's a lot more here, more than I have time to say in this video, but I'll leave you with this. Our middle-class families deserve breathing room. It's the whole reason I ran. This plan will give opportunity to millions of families who need it the most.
What you think? Comments.
Hey, you know what? I'm happy for everybody that fits this little criteria. And I mean, look, I'm sure it's gonna, I don't want to be selfish and think about just myself because, but I find myself having to do that more often than not because, just few people around me that's that actually make more than that amount that he mentioned. So, hey, look, power to the people. That's what I'm gonna say.
This is one of the new pictures of Jupiter right here. Looks so cool. I love it.
Yeah, that's illuminating. It'd be nice to go out and see that instead of the moon.
Mm. Oh yeah, that was that storm. So, oh yeah, let me play this clip for laughs and giggles right quick.
Yeah.
What?
Check it out.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that. That's yeah.
Yes, I use nigga. I've used it. I admit it. I put the H on it to emphasize it's nigga. You know, nigga this, nigga please, nigga. You know, can you lend the nigga a pencil?
What kind of example are you setting for your student?
Oh Lord, that's hilarious. Every time I hear it, because he's like he know he's right.
It's hilarious.
Whoever, like, somebody sold him on that. Like, but no, really, like he wanted to be able to use it so bad that justifying it, you know. Which I mean, I don't really be tripping on, you know, like if I know you or something, maybe, but I probably still would say, hey, you know, hey, careful now, you know, but
check this.
Tim
He's on
Avia
TV
joins me in
doing
studio
that.
now. Tim, exactly how much are these teachers going to lose? Hundreds of unvaccinated teachers across the state will have their pay slashed as a penalty for not complying with COVID-19 directions. Tim Avia joins me in studio now. Tim, exactly how much are these teachers going to lose?
Well, it depends on actually how much they're paid. So each teacher, it will be different, but effectively they're having their pay cut for 18 weeks. The government had told them it could be up to 20. They've actually made the decision 18 weeks is what they're going to cop. And in that, their pay grade essentially goes down one level. So for some teachers, it will be hundreds, some it may be thousands, but that is what they are looking at. And the government has actually sent them these letters, each one, and they're making it clear they're taking this pretty seriously. Part of the letter reads, it's important that you are aware of the seriousness with which the department views your inappropriate behaviour and failure to comply with the direction. You should be aware that any further substantiated allegations and or a breach of the code of conduct or standard of practice will be viewed very seriously and may result in the termination of your employment. But many of these teachers there are really not happy about the pay cut and also their treatment. They view it as double standard.
Man, what do you think about that? That shit is crazy. Freaking firing it, threatening to fire them. Talking about, it says it is important that you are aware that the seriousness that of which your department views your inappropriate behavior and failure to comply with direction.
It's important for people to realize what kind of state it is. Just remember, this is the people who, you know, the ones who's actually pushing this, because everybody can do it if they wanted to. But you got to think about the ones who actually choose to go that far. Are those the people you want to support?
It says, you should be aware that any further substantiated allegations and or breach of code of conduct or standard of practice will be viewed very seriously and may result in termination of your employment. So it's like they're threatening them too. It's like, okay, so we're calling this, we're going to just dock your pay, but you've committed a serious offense. So if one little thing happens, you out of there. Fire. You didn't comply. Yeah, man. This one says, Uvalde school police chief could become the first officer to lose his job over law enforcement's failed response to the Robb Elementary School shooting.
The chief?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they might not even have a town no more, bro. Like, honestly, like, I mean, if the town is like, I mean, it can be taken over and it can be taken over. Like, I mean, they showed just how strong they were when it came to the children. Like, they weren't willing to go and help the children. Like I mean, they made that's the whole thing. Like you're the police force of this town, and you know, not just I mean, like men, women, children. Like you said, no, don't go. Let the maniac do his thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. This is Mitch McConnell. He says President Biden's student loans socialism is a slap in the face to every family who sacrificed to save for college, every graduate who paid their debt, and every American who chose a certain career path or volunteered to serve in an armed forces in order to avoid taking on debt. This policy is astonishingly unfair. Mitch McConnell.
I mean, I can see that side too, but like I said, I mean, look, there's more people that need, the ones who aren't prepared and still trying to do something for themselves and for their lives. Like, you can't be upset with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I took on student debt, but I've also paid it off as well. But I'm not gonna be mad because somebody else can benefit. Like, I mean, I watch other people benefit on other things every day. So now when it can benefit others, like, I mean, that's the problem I have with him, is that, like, he's in a position where he has no issue. Like he's a multi-millionaire as a senator, and he's I know he makes at least $400,000 a year. Let's just say that. Because all his other businesses, we're not even going to talk about that. He makes well above most people in the country. And he's upset because somebody got a benefit that I guess he feels he's paying for, like out of his pocket. No, that's the people's money.
Give them back some of their money.
Yeah.
This is the rebuttal to the argument. Let me play this.
It matters how it's asked.
Biden only has the executive authority to cancel one type of debt. I wish it weren't the case, but that's true. He can only cancel student debt right now. And running cover for the Biden administration and the big banks who pay him doesn't make you a working class hero. Hold the Springsteen tracks. Running cover for the senator from MBNA is the most elite of elite behavior, no matter how much you want to dress it up as a working class issue. The only question you have to ask yourself is this: a rich person and a poor person each have a child with great grades and an interest in being a doctor or a nurse or a teacher. Should the ability of the student and their interest drive whether they get to go to college or go on to medical school? Or should their parents' income determine that? Rich gatekeepers are paying millions of dollars to make sure America's students aren't bailed out, but Kanye, Kushner, and Paul Pelosi are. It's corruption, plain and simple. And with your help, it looks like elites are going to get away with it again.
Something to quibble with. I'm not sure that this policy is as popular as you're making it out to be. It matters how it's asked. Like, I just Googled it, and so 59% of Americans are worried student loan forgiveness will make inflation worse, for instance. Which I
wonder why they think that, Robbie.
Because it probably will make inflation.
All right, so where was this conversation in these polls when the PPP loans were being forgiven without fanfare earlier this year?
Yeah, we shouldn't. I don't want to forgive any of those other things either. Look, I take your point on the bailouts. It's hypocritical. I agree with you on all that. All of these wealthy people seek bailouts and
get bailouts.
And they get them. So yes, I get that. Look, I feel badly for young people who took on this debt. It was a really bad idea.
Old people.
Nobody made them do it,
no,
though.
But Robbie,
You make an agreement.
That's not true, Robbie. The government, and you maybe are a little too young to remember this, but in the 80s,
He's
90s,
just trying to
and
get
early
some
aughts,
discourse.
right
He
after
can't
Barack
believe what he's
Obama,
saying.
the rhetoric was clear. If you are poor, if you are from an underadvantaged community, if you are Black, if you are brown, if you have low educational attainment, it's your fault. It's not the government's fault. You need to go to college. Biden.
Yeah, so, but I think a lot of people do agree with his argument, just like Mitch McConnell, and that's the reason why Mitch McConnell can feel so comfortable saying that. There's a huge segment of the United States who agrees with him.
But my thing is, okay, look, they subsidize billionaires all the time. Like that's where I don't understand how they have an issue with like anytime the people can benefit, that's when they're upset.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But they're told how to think. So I mean, like, you know, they don't know, they don't even realize. But then too, every day we're told, oh, we got to look out for Walmart, we got to look out for Elon Musk, and you know, we got to make sure that Amazon's okay.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that you know, look, if we're gonna help them, like they need to at least be doing the fair share of providing jobs for people that where they can afford where they live.
Right,
You know,
with a
if
livable wage.
because I mean, other than that, like they might as well allow the people to keep their tax money and all right, you know, they just on their own and spend it how they spend it. But if they're gonna be forced to take taxes from their pay,
and
then
and exactly. So then and you know, who uses the roads and freeways and shit more than fucking Amazon and Walmart and them? So then shit, them niggas should be paying for that too. Who causes the
yeah,
potholes and fucking damages on the fucking bridges and shit?
I do.
Not you. You're only one
Yeah,
guy. Walmart got a whole bunch of fucking trucks. Amazon got a whole shit ton of trucks.
true.
Yeah, they them ones, them ones. So like I say, man, like that's what sucks. We pay for the damn roads, and then they be like, okay, well, we got to give them subsidies and shit because they're giving us jobs and shit. But damn, bro, like them niggas tearing up the roads.
How do they know? How do they know where you are? Oh, my bad.
They should have to pay for that shit. Who's ever fucking, you know, that would be fair. I mean, we flipping the bill. Okay, if Amazon is making all this money off of using the road, then pay us some dividends on that shit then, because we had to flip the bill to cover the road, and we still covering the road. And
That's the part.
in any business, that's how it would work.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, all right, you know, we hear the whole, you know, United States is a corporation. All right, if you're a corporation and if you're giving money to other companies, usually that would be an investment. So if you put in an investment in all these different multi-billion-dollar companies, then if you're not going to charge them taxes, you need to get a dividend for what you're, you know, like, and that's the thing. Like, of course, I don't know nothing. I don't know enough. You know, I'm just, I guess, somewhat dreaming. But if it wasn't meant for them to deflower this land and take the resources and just plunder them and do whatever, I mean, like if they actually meant to do right by things, like they would have done it a long time ago. So
That's what I'm saying, bro. Why you use the term deflower, bro? That's like that hurt. Like I can picture it and shit. Damn, bro. That's terrible analogy, but it's good though. It's perfect because I feel like raping the damn land is what has happened. The people too, you know, the
yeah,
cultures too, you know, the history too. Must keep going down the damn list.
it doesn't
Fucking
matter what direction you go in. It doesn't matter.
yeah, that made me forget what I was gonna say because that really just took me there. But what was we talking about? I done lost it now. Freaking
No, about the you know, how they're giving away the money to the
oh yeah, for the corporations and shit. So like,
yeah.
and the dividends that we should be receiving. Like, it was an example I was thinking about and I lost it. But it like we give them this money. Like they're like the tech research and development. That's what I was thinking of. Like, because recently they were talking about the tech industry, and you know, recently we had a bill going through Congress about the chips, and you know, this is money to research and development, da 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 da. But it's coming out of the American taxpayers' pocket. But whenever they get finished setting up this technology or whatever, they're gonna patent it, and we're not gonna see a dime out of that. Somebody privately is gonna own it when we flip the bill for the research, development, and you know, all the groundwork.
hmm
Shouldn't we as the American taxpayer get something back for that?
I mean, if we were looking at a just world, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
This looks like a good idea. It's like a little turbine. It says that generates electricity using nearby traffic. Yeah, I wanted to just show this right quick.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would say I need to go on and get out of here. Like I said, I wasn't gonna be able to spend too much time tonight. I'll be back on tomorrow night, and we can, do it how we usually do it. Yeah.
All right, man. Shit, I appreciate you.
For sure, bro.
Peace
We'll
and love.
chat. Yeah. Peace
Holla
and
tomorrow.
love.
All right.
One.
Freaking yeah. So this is a turbine that can create electricity. Let me start it over. Is it starting it over? It says, let me read the captions. This turbine turns oncoming traffic into electricity. It says the Enlil turbine converts wind generated by passing cars into electricity. As well as generating electricity, the turbine measures CO2 levels in the air. It was invented by a Turkish company called Devici Tech. It's currently being tested in Istanbul. The turbine can generate 1 kilowatt of power per hour. Doesn't sound like a lot to me. This awesome invention could transform motorways everywhere into a source of renewable energy. It's pretty cool. I like the idea. I'm sure they have all kinds of stuff out there that they could be doing that we could be doing, but they rather not just because it doesn't make money. Like, I don't know. They'll figure out a way to make money off of that. And yeah, the weather, man, the lightning is scary to me right now. Like, it seems like it's crazy. Our storms are crazy right now. This is just a visual, like a lightning storm. Where was it? Mega Tormenta Eléctrica cerca de Cozumel, Mexico. So somewhere near Cozumel. Anyways, let's get out of here. I think I have another one on the Instagram stories. Let's see. I don't know how much longer I'm going to go either. But I had some philosophy shit I really want to cover, though. This one says, stop enforcing the idea that you need to be in a relationship. Okay, I read that. Will Smith, the cult thing. Oh, let's play this.
Come from monkeys, and they've said that a couple of times. I told you didn't come from monkeys, because monkeys and apes are two different species altogether. Apes don't have tails. The great apes don't have tails. I never said we came from monkeys. I said we had a common ancestor, and that one of the ancestors remained in the tree and one came down on the ground. I never said we came from monkeys. I don't think we came from monkeys. Monkeys and us are not the same. But bone for bone, muscle for muscle. Every organ and gland that a human has in his body, an ape has it in the same exact place. Do the research. Get your evidence. And let's stop this emotional game that we play with each other. There's somebody up there saying we did not come from monkeys. And they've said that a couple of times. I told you didn't come from monkeys. Because monkeys and apes are two different species altogether.
Freaking, I'm going to play this again because I wanted to know what Pat's comments were. So I'm going to probably cover this again tomorrow. But I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it because this post's going to be gone probably by then. And the captions, it says, never came from monkeys. It says, get the Voice of Ancestors book series. Gave us Paradise Lost. Yeah, you lost me. No, we definitely didn't come from bees. Similar, that's all. We don't have a common ancestor to be similar. No, we did not. We didn't even come from this planet. Look to the constellations for answers. Ask your higher selves. We come from the soil in America. America was the most pyramids. You know, as an anthropology student, I freaking always have a hard time with this topic because I just feel like everybody is so, ignorant on the topic, and it's not an offense to y'all. It's just that you haven't been exposed to the information. The information that you've been exposed to is like some stuff somebody pulled out of their ass. Like, science is science, bro. Like, certain stuff is like you can't, like, once you've seen the data, bro, there's no arguing with it. There's no fucking arguing with it. Evolution happens and happened and is happening. Okay. We are one of the great apes. It is what it is. Go look at them. Go look at the butts. Look at how they move. Look at their facial expressions. Go look at the bonobos, especially. Those are the ones, man. Those are the ones. Go look at the damn bonobos. Bonobos and chimpanzees, but especially bonobos. Go look at them. Go look at bonobos. And you're going to be like, damn, they are so much like us. It's crazy. And then they're like, oh, it's similar. But y'all don't understand how evolution works. Y'all don't understand how, speciation happens, how traits are passed down, the morphology, like the way your bone structures are, all of this stuff. You put all of this stuff together, the biology, all of that shit, you put it together and it shows a picture that really you can't freaking argue with, bruh. You cannot, if you've seen it all, then you wouldn't be able to argue with it. You can't. I mean, you could close your eyes to it and say la 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 la, stick your fingers in your ear while they're doing the presentation, all you want. That's fine. You still haven't been exposed to the information, because if you have, then you would understand that there's no arguing with this stuff. You can't argue with it. It is what it is. Y'all want to feel like, okay, God created man. That's fine. I mean, you can still believe that, and that can still be true, because who's to say evolution isn't the process of creation? I mean, so like that's not where the argument is. It's just that our ego, we just feel like we're separate from the animals. Like we are to a certain extent, but we are an animal. We live here on the earth. We're an earthling, just like the rest of the earthlings, the trees, the insects, the mammals, the reptiles, the amphibians that live on this planet, the freaking bacteria, the amoebas, you know what I mean? Everything, the crustaceans, these are all earthlings, okay? And we're all related. Some of us are more related than others. And there's a thing related to evolution where things kind of, over time they change. And you can look at it. There's evidence of it. So, like, that's what it is, man. It's so sad that we even have to have these arguments about these topics, because it's kind of like arguing with the flat earther, or saying that the earth is the center of the universe, or, I don't know, gravity doesn't exist. You could say gravity is a theory and but regardless of what you call it, if you step off the side of the roof, you're gonna come down and go splat. So you can't argue with that, okay? I wish we could just get past that and start talking about actual stuff that's worth arguing about. Whether evolution happened or not is not a fucking argument, Whether we're related to the great apes or not is not a fucking argument, bro. It's not. It's not. It's not. There's no argument there. Let me go over the details of the Biden canceled student debt plan. It says, how do I get student loans forgiven? Most borrowers will be required to fill out a form with the Education Department to certify that they qualify under the new income guidelines. Education officials are expected to provide more information in the coming weeks about where borrowers can fill out the application. Who qualifies for student loan forgiveness? Borrowers earning $125,000 per year or $250,000 per child for a married couple filing taxes jointly would qualify. Will private loans be forgiven? No. Education loans originates and held by private lenders are ineligible for cancellation. Are graduate student loans eligible for forgiveness? Yes. Under the new policy, graduate student loans are eligible for up to $10,000 in debt forgiveness. They are not eligible for the additional $10,000 offered to Pell Grant recipients. Are Parent Plus loans eligible? Yes. Parent Plus loans, federal loans taken out by parents to pay for their child's education, are eligible for the $10,000 in cancellation under the White House plan, subject to the income thresholds. I owe more than $10,000. When do my payments restart? Biden said he will extend a pause on federal loan payments until December 31st, which extends the moratorium beyond the midterm elections. That could give the Education Department enough time to recalculate borrowers' monthly payments based on their new lower balances. Will I have to pay taxes on forgiven student debt? No. The $1.9 trillion stimulus package Biden signed into law last year temporarily eliminated the tax burden many student loan borrowers would face if any portion of their debt was discharged. That last part is nice to know. If I read this caption, it's going to be all the same stuff, so I'm going to move on. Let's see. Are there any comments that's worth the crap? That's too intricate there. Let's listen to Jadena.
I believe in agreements.
Period. But like, put some respect on a woman's swag. I feel like they're trying to take that away from the.
And they got that music playing. This one, it says, say what? Missouri School District announces the return of corporal punishment for students through paddle use. I was paddled when I was in school, so they were still paddling. In elementary and middle school, I got paddled. I don't remember getting paddled in high school. Maybe things have changed by then. I don't know. But in elementary and middle school, I got paddled. I don't know. I think I would, as a parent, I would have a problem with them fucking hitting my child. Like, I don't know. Maybe things have changed, but I don't feel like it was really a bad thing necessarily. I remember they used to hit me in my knuckles with the little freaking thing, little wooden tube, and that shit kind of hurt. The paddle in the butt did hurt too, but the knuckle thing is what I remember the most. Like, that shit sucked. So, but I don't know. I don't know where what to say about that. I don't know, because that's an argument. But I don't believe in beating children though, because that's abuse. I really just don't feel like I don't whoop my children, whatever you want to call it. I don't do that. I feel like it's abuse, but again, what the hell do I know? I don't know where to stand on that. I know that you can't tell another parent on how to raise their child, you know. Sometimes some physical discipline may be warranted. Some occasions. But I don't do it. But I don't judge others if they do. Audio clip from Black Hole. NASA says that in reality, human ears can't actually hear the frequencies. The sound clip shared was boosted exponentially to achieve the resulting sounds. It's creepy sounding. What is making the sound? Like, you gotta have to explain that to me. Is it the sound of the planets moving? Like, what is the sound? It says, few people realize RIM-7 Sea Sparrow is the most environmentally friendly anti-aircraft missile produced anywhere. We're proud of our commitment to a better future for all the children of the world. Do good things, be greener with Raytheon. OMG, that's gotta be satire. I have some stuff. Let's do the philosophy stuff because I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay on, but I do want to cover this because I've been thinking about it. And it struck me. I was hoping Pat could catch a bit of this, but life goes on. Democracy Now, Bo, the Democrats in Florida. Kind of wanted to talk about that. Young people getting heart attacks. That's a thing. Is consciousness a quirk? That's interesting. I've been watching Westworld, so I'm just on that kind of shit. It's been popping up on my timeline. Okay, Charles Darwin versus Karl Marx. I think that's the one. Is art. Oh, where's the art one? Let's do that first. Do I want to save that for tomorrow? Yeah, man. I found this channel and I've been watching it. It's really, really, really good. Really, really good. Let me share just a bit of this. I don't know if I can get away with this because I haven't played this before. Hopefully it's a small enough channel for me to be okay.
This painting, I'm in awe of how beautiful it is. And I'm overwhelmed by a feeling of love because I love it, but also because look at the way he's looking at her. He's practically foaming at the mouth. But why is he in a bush? And who is this? Wait a minute. Shh. I guess this isn't the beautiful love story I thought it was. This piece is called The Swing by Jean-Honoré Fragonard, a private commission that he was never supposed to create in the first place. A painting that was so raunchy, many artists wouldn't have done it for all the money in the world. A piece that was never meant to see the light of day, but nevertheless an extraordinary work of art that changed the trajectory of Fragonard's career and ended up being his greatest masterpiece. The artist who was originally approached to paint this piece was named Gabriel Francois Doyen, and although we aren't sure the identity of the person who commissioned it, we know based on writings at the time that he was an, quote, unnamed gentleman of the court, and many believe he was Baron de Saint-Julien, the receiver general of the French clergy. When Doyen was approached to create this piece, he immediately refused because he couldn't risk destroying his reputation as a respectable religious history painter. He recommended Fragonard, who at the time mainly did paintings for royalty, not for wealthy individuals. But upon recent issues with payments from the aristocracy, he was more than happy to take it on, even though he was second choice. But what could possibly be so risque about a painting that appears so innocent and playful? Settle in and grab some popcorn. This is gonna be a bumpy ride. Emerging from a sea of bluish-green vegetation is a woman swinging from a tree. She's front and center in a bright pink dress that practically bubbles over the luxurious red velvet seat below her. The light shines on her as if it's direct from the heavens. The contrast in color between the woman and the background makes her come to life that much more. She seems to be in a luscious private garden due to the fencing that surrounds the area. She barely grips the ropes as she glides through the air. We catch her when she reaches the tippy top of her swing ride. She lifts her left leg high, flinging her kitten heel in the air, playfully. Her other shoe seems to hang on by a thread, but she doesn't care. She has someone to pick it up for her if it happens to fall. Down below her, there's a man lying in a bush with his arm outstretched toward the woman. He looks up at her in an excited, goofy kind of way. But what exactly is he looking at? Oh, okay. That makes sense. But forget about the fact that he can see up her skirt. Her ankle is showing. A very erotic gesture at the time. Is he in shock? Okay, so a guy commissioned a private portrait of himself looking up his partner's skirt while she's swinging. It's a little unorthodox, but not that big of a deal, right? Wrong. Here's the kicker. The man that commissioned the painting is the man in the bush, and he's also the woman's lover, not her husband. This older man is her husband. Probably anyway. I mean, it's art, so there's always an element of uncertainty. He looks up at his wife affectionately, blissfully unaware of the younger man hiding away, not far from him. When the unnamed gentleman of the court commissioned the piece, he had a very specific vision. His requests were as follows, quote, "I would like you to paint Madame on a swing, being pushed by a bishop. You will place me in a way that I am within reach of seeing the legs of this beautiful child. Even better, if you want to brighten up the painting further." I would definitely say that he brightened the painting further, but Fragonard also took some artistic liberties, maybe even a bit of a dig, substituting the bishop for the deceived husband. And honestly, it's genius, because as everyone knows, the motion of a swing is back and forth, much like the woman going back and forth between her lover and her husband, a love triangle of sorts. And although her husband seems to be the one in control, holding the reins, and she is bound by the ropes of marriage, they seem to be becoming a bit frayed. And when you think about it, she's really the only one in control in the situation. She seems confident and at ease. The only one, except for us, who's aware of everything that's going on in the scene. It's interesting that Fragonard chose to give her so much presence and authority in this piece, both physically, since she's obviously the biggest and brightest in the painting, and also in theme. Without a worry in the world, she flings her petite heel toward a statue of Cupid holding a finger to its lips, letting us know that whatever happens in the mystical fairy garden stays in the mystical fairy garden. People at the time would have immediately recognized the resemblance between this and the menacing Cupid statue created by Etienne Maurice Falconet in 1757 for Madame de Pompadour, King Louis XV's mistress. Another chubby baby statue is placed on the right side of the painting. These kinds of statues are also called puto or putti, just in case you ever need to know that for trivia or something. But these babies, who seem to be riding a dolphin, have shocked and even shameful looks on their faces. A fluffy white dog on the right side of the painting appears to be barking at her. Dogs were often seen as symbols of fidelity, and let's just say this dog doesn't look very pleased. The fact that the dog is barking loudly, almost as if it's trying to alert the world of what's actually going on, is in stark contrast to the silent, secret-keeping Cupid. This creates an interplay between the left and the right side of the painting. The left side seems to be encouraging the reckless exchange, while the right side seems to be advocating fidelity and restraint. During this time, private commissions like this one were intended for display in intimate rooms in wealthy individuals' homes known as cabinets, which is exactly where it would have stayed hidden. Here, the patron and his friends could delight in art that depicted a diversion from social norms.
I don't know if she said it. I don't think she said it, but the part where the husband is holding the reins is also kind of showing like a control over the wife.
For their own private and personal pleasure. The work was so enjoyed by those that saw it that an artist by the name of Nicholas Stoloni created a print version in 1792 that could be circulated in front of a larger, albeit still socially elite, audience. The swing marked a turning point in Fragonard's career. Before it, he mainly completed paintings for royalty, and after it, he mainly did private commissions. It's possible that his carefree, playful style fit more in line with the latter. I definitely think so. But let me know what you think. In any case,
The
as a
money, that's where
result,
the money
less
is.
critical commentary and documentation exists of his works, and a deep dive into his paintings has only recently begun to take place in the last few decades. Thank goodness, the world needed more of this, in my opinion. To me, this painting is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It looks so whimsical and innocent at first glance, and has even been referenced in movies like Frozen. But when you dig a little deeper, things aren't exactly as they seem. Thanks for the
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, I'm kind of into art. I have been, I don't know. It's that like feeling all cultured and shit, right? I don't know. I took some art classes and shit. So, like, and some theater classes and shit. So, you know, I never really got that deep into like theaters, especially, but I have a real appreciation for art. Let me read this caption. It says, this piece is called The Swing by Jean-Henri Fragonard, a famous 18th century French Rococo painting that changed the trajectory of his career and ended up being his greatest masterpiece. It was a private commission that he was never supposed to create in the first place, but we're glad he did. Although it looks lighthearted and playful, things aren't always as they seem. There are many hidden symbols and meanings in the painting that make it so interesting to look at. Thank you for watching. Yeah, it makes it really interesting, you know, and you just think about all of that stuff. So, yeah, so he was probably, she said that his career went to private sector, and I'm sure he was making money. Those people were like, man, we saw that painting, bro. That shit was sick, wicked, nasty. I want one just like it, and I'll pay you whatever is a large amount of money of the day. And he was like, shit, bet. Let me read some comments underneath the video. This one says, if you understand historical clothing, this is incredibly scandalous. A woman wore a shift, a plain gown, a pair of stays, modern day corset, petticoats, and finally a skirt and bodice. The 2020 Emma and the Anna Taylor-Joy has a scene where she warms herself at the fire by lifting her dress, and she is not wearing panties. Underwear, as we know it, was not used. It would have made it very difficult to use the restroom. Therefore, the man looking up her skirt would have a direct view of her nether regions, especially with her legs akimbo. Ankles are not a big deal. Skirt lengths were above the ankle at the calf. See, somebody giving us some more insight on it, you know? So the clothing that she had on already was, as far as this guy is saying, it was like she had on her underwear already on the swing. Let me read some more. It says, I get why people would like it at a glance. Its colors are soft yet bright and attractive. There's the weird effect of everything looking cloudy and flowing, like the trees in the background and her gown. It is a very dynamic as far as old paintings go. And to be honest, this interpretation just added another fascination and engaging layer to the painting. And you know, I wonder if like a painting like this, because it becomes popular, and then the people, they do understand the painting. Like the women, maybe they get it, but they don't say that they get it. They don't communicate what it really means, like what it's really saying. And then everybody is like, okay, well, art's is subjective. So, you know, what it means to you, what it's saying to you is different from what it's saying to this other person or whatever. But all the women that see the painting, or a good amount of them, look at it and they peeping game right away. And then the guys are looking at it in a whole totally different way. I wonder. Let me read some more. It says, Disney uses a lot of hidden symbolism, so I think they knew exactly what they were doing in Frozen and used the painting as reference to the story's upcoming love triangle, especially as it referenced during the song where she's wanting to seduce a man. Some of the other paintings she jumps into are a bit questionable too. I don't know about all that, but I'm not as educated on all of that to make a comment on that, if that's true or not. The painting is even included in children's art books because most people don't know what's going on. Another comment, it says, I don't know what kind of mystical fairy garden you came from, but you are such a breath of fresh air among artsy YouTube channels. I love your videos. Da, 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 da. I always thought it was obvious she was deliberately tossing her shoe to her secret lover. I never knew anyone thought it was innocent. I also didn't know the commissioner was a lech, and I certainly hadn't considered the nature of a Georgian garb is respect to underwear. Am I saying it right? Georgian garb in respect to underwear. Another comment, it says, "This is one of my favorite paintings. Thank you for doing a video on it. Perhaps it's very basic of me, but I primarily like it for colors. I adore the way the pink of the dress practically glows in the verdant shadows of the garden." So there goes the subjective part about art, because maybe this person doesn't even care about the provocativeness or lack thereof, or if it's innocent or not innocent, or what the hell is even happening in the painting. They're just enjoying it for the colors. And then it's like that. So they're going to talk about that in the video I'm about to play, but just enjoying art for what it is and not freaking like over fucking thinking it, and just like, okay, let it aesthetically please me. It says the use of this painting in Frozen is quite brilliant. Anna was engaged to Hans but fell in love with Kristoff at the same time. Also, in the first time in forever, she was singing about finding a special one as well. I do not believe that was done unintentionally. Another comment, I love the painting except for the eyes. The eyes in the piece are just downright creepy. I always wondered if the artist just didn't do eyes well, or if he means for them to look creepy. In his other works, again, there are some creepy eyes, but then some are just okay. Another comment, it says, I find it hilarious that the swing was scandalous for showing the lady's leg ankle, but the work 7-11 by the same artist shows a bare breast woman and was totally acceptable. Well, that person is trying to pick apart the perspective of that, but the other guy already explained that it's like she's in her underwear already, so let me see if I can find the right video that I just mentioned, because old buddy was talking about, was he talking about it in, oh, is art meaningless? It was in there, huh? But I really wanted to do the Charles Darwin fucking clip. Fuck, I guess I'm gonna have to save that for tomorrow. We're talking about arts. Let's keep that motif.
Artist intended for me to be a study in light and shade. Audiences and critics thought I was trying to be sexually provocative. So which is it? What does the artwork mean? Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, it's subjective. There's no right or wrong answer. But I am willing to bet that you don't really believe that. There's a big difference between saying that the quality of an artwork is subjective and the meaning is subjective. If you don't like the portrait of Madame X, then fair enough. I guess I'm not to everyone's taste, and I suppose when I pose for it, it's more like the portrait of Madame XY. But is it really the case that I can be about anything? If somebody says to you, I just saw Doctor Strange 2, and you go, oh yeah, what's it about? And they say, it's about how love has an everlasting value, even between two people of different social classes on a doomed ocean liner. You'd be like, no, that's Titanic. It definitely seems like you can look at a work of art, think you know what it's about, and be wrong, which means the meaning, at least, is not subjective. So assuming artworks do have objective meaning, how do we find out what the meaning is? If I don't get it, how do I get it? If you enjoyed today's episode and you want to help me make... They're called the Seagram murals. They were painted in the 1950s by American artist Mark Rothko. Originally, he was commissioned to make them for an upscale restaurant in New York, but when he actually visited the place, he changed his mind and gave the money back. The paintings are still displayed in accordance with his intentions, close to the ground, in a small room with off-white walls in low, even lighting. Rothko said, He wanted audiences to feel trapped. If I want to get it, maybe those facts are a clue. If somebody tells me Rothko's paintings are about being happy and having a nice time at the beach, I can point to his intentions and go, no, you're wrong. Because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to misinterpret something. That could be really awkward. Like when your friend who you thought was straight sends you a bunch of flirty messages and you're like, babe, is there something you need to tell me? And she goes, what? No, I'm definitely straight, definitely interested in men. Everybody sends messages like that, right?
Girls like, girls like, girls like, girls like you.
Some philosophers have said that the meaning of an artwork is part of it, albeit not a part that you can see with your eyes. Take, for instance, Fountain, one of the most famous works of art ever. It was presented in 1917 by Marcel Duchamp, and it's what's called a ready-made, a sculpture that was already made because it's just an ordinary urinal. He bought it from a shop. To the eyes, Fountain is identical to other urinals that are not art. So the argument goes, what makes it different is its meaning. If you don't get that meaning, you have, in a sense, failed to experience the artwork that is Fountain. You've just seen a urinal. Funnily enough, I have some artwork with me today that is about this very question. Interpreting art, not whether your friend is flirting with you. Although actually, kind of both. This is Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov, one of the most famous novels of the 20th century. The story is that the poet, John Shade, has been murdered on the night that he completed his greatest work. So the poem has been published posthumously by his good friend Charles, with notes explaining its meaning. But as we read on, Charles's notes get weirder and weirder. He starts claiming that certain words in the poem are really a coded message about how John was in love with him, but his wife wouldn't let him say it. And really, the poem is all about Charles until he's talking about things that are completely unconnected. And we're like, hang on a minute. Did he murder John? A lot of the humor comes from the fact that Charles's interpretation of the poem is wrong. He says it's about one thing, it obviously isn't, and that's why it's funny. But how do we know he's wrong? Well, it would be very helpful if we could just ask John what his poem is about. And indeed, some philosophers have said the way you find out an artwork's meaning is you look at the artist's intention. If it seems like your friend is flirting with you, but it's kind of ambiguous, just ask her how she feels. But it doesn't really help us with Pale Fire, because the whole setup is that John Shade has been murdered. We don't know what he intended. Maybe Charles is right, and the poem really is about him. And this problem comes up a lot in art history. We have evidence of what artists like Rothko and Duchamp intended for their works, but often that isn't the case, especially if the art is very old. And even if we could go back and reconstruct an artist's intention, it might not be a very secure foundation on which to base an interpretation of their work. The French philosopher Michel Foucault pointed out that the author of a text is sometimes a bit of a vague construct, even a brand. Basically, our reconstruction would kind of be an interpretation as well. As Charles shows us, it's perfectly possible to imagine an idea of somebody in your head who supports your interpretation of their work, but who isn't that close to the real thing. Maybe your friend is flirting with you, but maybe you're just projecting, because secretly, you kind of want it. The risk is that we just end up repeating what other people have told us about the artist's intentions, regurgitating the marketing rather than actually engaging with what they've made. That's why the philosopher Roland Barthes said we should forget about the author and just focus on the text in his famous essay, Death of the Author, which, yeah, John is dead, so I guess you got what you wanted there. Roland Barthes, where were you on the night that John Shade was murdered? Just to make things even more hazy, The British art historian Michael Baxendale said that artists don't really have intentions for their work the same way that an architect has an intention for a bridge. When you design a bridge, you plan it all out beforehand and you have a very clear goal in mind. But art doesn't really work that way. Every brushstroke you add to a canvas, every line to a script, every note to a score changes the relationship between everything else and changes the whole. As you work, your intention develops. So if we're trying to reconstruct the artist's intention, where do we start? There isn't really one intention. There's an infinite sequence of them. John Singer Sargent took almost a whole year to finish the portrait of Madame X, and he tried a lot of different poses before he settled on the final thing. Rothko took years to finish the Seagram murals, and he changed his mind about what he wanted to do with them. As somebody who is a working artist, I can tell you from experience that intentions absolutely change. I recently finished writing a play. It's going to be on in London soon. It's called The Prince. I'm really, really excited for it. Tickets available in the doobly-doo if you're interested. When I started it, I intended to write something about the monarchy. But the more I worked, the more I realized it actually needed to be about something completely different. And the final product has almost nothing to do with that. So if we try to reconstruct my original intention to decide what the play is about, how is that going to work? It definitely seems like you can be wrong about art, but I'm still not clear on how you can make sure you're right. I am the Portrait of Madame X by John Singer Sargent. Am I a study in light and shade? Or am I a sexual scandal? I have a suggestion. Maybe you need a different angle on things.
I hate those.
I am Pablo Picasso's paintings. All of them viewed at the same time from different angles, because that's Cubism, baby. Some people think that I am the greatest artist of the 20th century. A lot of people look at me and they go, I don't get it. And my suggestion is, don't focus too much on the intellectual stuff, or you might miss out on what the art really has to offer.
That's what I was talking about.
Susan Sontag says we should stop trying to interpret art. Stop trying to get it and just experience it. Like Duchamp's fountain. Everybody says, oh, he's making a statement about the art world. And Picasso's paintings, everyone says, oh, he's asking the big questions like, what if there was a really fucked up looking woman? But art isn't a statement or a question. If it was, the artist would just write it down. Art isn't philosophy with pictures. It's art. So turn off brain and tune in to the aesthetic experience. I sometimes feel a little bit like that with my videos. Sometimes people comment and they're like, can you just make a list of all your major points and read them out without all of the extra stuff? And I'm like, no. Sometimes art is supposed to be difficult to get. For example, I have another novel here, What It Feels Like for a Girl by Paris Lees. Full disclosure, Paris is one of my best friends, but I liked her novel before we met. It's about a kid called Byron who grows up on a council estate in the Midlands and has a really rough time. And the whole thing is written in the dialect of that region. If you're not from that specific geographic and socioeconomic place, it is sometimes hard to interpret. And that's a good thing because, spoilers, Byron is trans, which is also never explained. There's never a scene where like a doctor turns up and explains to the audience what trans people are and confirms that Byron is one. The reader's struggle to interpret the text parallels Byron's own struggle to just live, free of the interpretations other people push on them. The challenge to the reader is, even if you don't 100% understand this person, can you still feel for them? So in a way, if you 100% got it, you'd almost be missing out. Interpretation is the revenge of the intellect upon art. Even more, it is the revenge of the intellect upon the world. To interpret is to impoverish, to deplete the world in order to set up a shadow world of meanings. Real art has the capacity to make us nervous. Interpretation makes art manageable, conformable. I think we can really get to grips with this idea by looking at the work of modern American playwright David Mamet, who is a little bit of a problematic fave of mine. In 2009, Mamet wrote a play called Race. The story is, content warning, a wealthy white man has been accused of raping a young black woman. The whole thing is set in the offices of his defense lawyers as they try to invent some way of getting him off the hook. The witnesses say that they heard sex noises and racial slurs being shouted. So the defense they concoct is that she was into that. The whole thing was actually consensual, and she's just lying to get his money. The slimiest possible thing. But as the play goes on, it starts to emerge that maybe that really is what's happening. Maybe there really is some kind of reverse racism, reverse Me Too thing happening here. And Mamet loves to write these kinds of stories. He did another play called Oleana, which is about a female student who falsely accuses her professor of sexually assaulting her. But then, he really does! He loves to write these Tim Pool-ass thought experiments. If you tried to take race and translate it into a political statement, the statement that you get would probably be a little bit incoherent. And I'm not just saying that because I personally disagree with Mamet's politics. In his book, Theatre, he occasionally talks about his political views, and it contradicts itself from chapter to chapter. The stuff about theatre is really interesting. The stuff about politics kind of reads a little bit like discount Jordan Peterson. And fair enough. Man's a playwright, not a political scientist. But I saw Race on Broadway in 2010, and it was electric. The performance was so good that when I came out of the theatre, I was like, that's it. I have to be an actress. And years later, I did a monologue from Race at my drama school auditions, and I got in. Mamet says that if you are writing a play, creating a work of art for the stage, forget about politics, forget about interpretations and meaning and getting it and all of that. Is it entertaining? Do the audience want to know what happens next? If you're sitting in front of a work of art and you're trying to get it, then you're a fool. The play, the story, that's the thing that we're here for. As somebody who's just finished writing a play and is going to be in it soon, there have been times where I've found that to be really useful advice. In fairness, I'm white, so when I watch Race, I can turn off the bit of my brain that worries about the politics stuff. Maybe someday David Mamet will write a play about trans people and I won't have the luxury of being entertained anymore. But for now, let's take this idea and run with it. Forget about trying to interpret the art. Just, how do you feel? When I look at Rothko, I feel big. It's black, it's maroon, it's red, it's I feel humbled, I feel in awe, I feel sad. You know that feeling where something bad happens, but you kind of knew it was going to. Like when somebody tells you they don't love you anymore and you kind of saw it coming. Or you're at a funeral and the person's died, but they've been ill for a really long time. And it's like, well, it's sad, but at least it's done now. That's kind of how Rothko makes me feel. Or at least that is part of it. But there might be a bit of a problem here. Truth be told, whenever I'm in an art gallery, I always feel low-key anxious because I used to date an art historian and we would sometimes go to galleries together. We're talking ancient history now, so years and years ago. But that relationship ended pretty badly for reasons that were my fault. So now whenever I'm in an art gallery, I'm always like, what if she's here?
I can't play that song 'cause it reminds
I don't know. Let me read some comments. I'm gonna wrap it. This video was so much fun to make. Laughed my ass off. I love dressing up as the paintings. That was the caption and the philosophy too. First comment, I wrote a poem about my childhood using fairy tales as metaphors, and my classmates' input made me realize that the poem had way more depth than I had explicitly intended. For example, I called my dad's girlfriend Goldilocks because she was blonde, but everyone else interpreted her as someone who intruded into our house, ate our food, slept in our beds, etc. And they were correct. Maybe your subconscious be writing, and that's the thing about when you're being creative, you know. Sometimes you're like, where did that come from, you know? And sometimes you're just looking at it like this, but that's your conscious mind looking at it. But you subconsciously did make those decisions. We always like to give things more meaning. Like it's an order thing that we have as humans. Like we like to put things in what we consider order. And another aspect, the aspect of order in our mind is meaning. So layers of meaning means that things are in order, like it gives it an order. We like to put things in line. We like to put things into shapes. We like to, you know, organize things. You know, that's what we do. And that's how we organize things. We give it meaning. That's another way. Let me read some more. It says, when I was a teenager, I wrote a poem titled Do Not Interpret a Poem because I was getting fed up of all the interpretation of text in Portuguese class. My Portuguese teacher caught it, read it to the whole class after naming me as the author. When she finished reading it, I was quite embarrassed, which didn't take long because after a couple of seconds of silence, she said, if anyone else feels like this, I want you to know I am very, very proud of you, followed by a short monologue about how interpretation is not what really matters, but that one experiences art. Yeah, I like that. That's what reason why I played this video is because that's what I was thinking about, kind of being in the moment, you know. And I have to tell myself to do this. That's the reason why I feel like it's something to talk about because, you know, I get lost in it too, and I'm always intricately picking apart stuff. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, if it's art, someone created it. Now, not all art is created equal. Like some of it is straight up trash. Like they like it was made on an assembly line and nobody really put their heart into it at all. You know, it's just some more shit to just get roll out, you know. So, but I really enjoy art. That's the reason why I look at some stuff and I be like, that's straight up trash. But then I look at other stuff and that even if, you know, even if I don't like it necessarily, I can appreciate the artist's effort. I appreciate their art. I appreciate what they did. You know, putting in work and creating this stuff and then putting it out there into the world, those are not easy things. And average people will be scared to death of fucking creating something and putting it on display in front of everyone. A lot of y'all would not do that. So you got to respect any person that's willing to create something and then put it out there like for sale or whatever, trying to sell it to you. Like that takes big donkey nuts to do. Let me read some more. It says, as an illustrator who makes representational art, these discussions about the meaning of art are always interesting for me. I always wonder if I'm actually an artist because when I draw and paint, there isn't actually much meaning to it. Most of the time, it is simply that I wanted to paint the sky or draw a pretty lady or experiment with my abilities and limits. The thing I love about illustration personally is the process of making it. But I guess that's why the fine art kids at my school look down on production artists like me who make stuff for video games and comics. Our work is generally a part of a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. Yeah, man, and everybody has their part, man. I love it, bro. And you are absolutely right. You are an artist. I mean, you're wrong about saying, am I an artist? You're definitely an artist. And the part where you said it's all about the creation, what did you say? That's what makes you an artist, bro. Let me see. At the time, simply wanted to paint or experiment with my abilities and limits. That's a part of being an artist. But the other one is, hold on. Most of the time, I simply paint what I want. in the sky or paint lady experiment with my abilities. The thing I love illustration, the process. Here it is. He says, the thing I love about illustration personally is the process of making it. Okay, so this is what makes you an artist right here. The process is what we love. You know, it may come out to be something and it may not. You know, I may not even like it at the end. I might just throw it away, or I might just make it into something else after it's done, or I might just like it but still put it to the side and don't do nothing with it. Like, it's the process of making it is the reason why we do it. That's what makes you an artist. You know, what actually comes of it is kind of beside the point. And then the other part where you said experiment with my abilities and limits, is like we're kind of just flexing our muscles, you know, we kind of just like seeing what we can do, because we get surprised too. Like, we don't know what the creation, it becomes its own thing separate from us. It's like, wow, I did that. Like, it's like, where did that even come from? Like, you know, that's beautiful, man. I love art. And art doesn't have to be a painting or a drawing either, you guys. Let me read some more. It says, as an artist, I don't always get my own art. I can count the amount of times when I've made something, disregarded it as scrap, only for someone close to me to love it. I've seen people talk about art like it's some sort of communication, but I don't really agree. They say the person communicates this, the artist captures that. But when I create, it's usually not about capturing anything specific. I create scenes from my inner chaos, feelings that I don't understand, that I'm not even aware of. It's unintentional, the thing that the art communicates. Maybe it sounds weird, but I don't need to understand a feeling to feel it. I don't need to understand art to make it. Yeah, and I completely agree with this guy. And it's like, but still, the other side is your subconscious is a part of your create. You're tapping into your subconscious whenever you're creating. So therefore, you know, it's a part of your mind that you don't really have control over. So a lot of times I think you are like being more deliberate than you think you are. You know what I'm saying? You are communicating more than you think you are. On the surface, you're like, oh, I'm just making a sky or whatever. But your subconscious is communicating something more. And that's the reason why, even if you don't feel like you see it, somebody else, when they view your art, it touches them and they're like, boom, they tap right into it because it tapped into their subconscious. It tapped into them. They feel it some kind of way. It spoke to them in a way. It maybe wasn't your intention, but it doesn't even matter because the universe works like that's the way the universe works. So, and it communicates that way. I love it. He says, it's unintentional, the thing that art communicates. Let me read some more. These comments are great. And the part where he said about like, because I've been to that in that situation too, where I felt like something wasn't very good that I made, and someone else feels like it's really good. You know, I can't judge it. I swear, when I make stuff, I don't know what's good and what's not. Sometimes I know it's good, and then if no one likes it, and then I'm like so confused. Let me read some more. It says, also the P urge will be a fantastic mythological interpretation of the Seagram murals. Rothko urgently needed to pee, but he was so immersed in the studio that he couldn't bring himself to leave for the bathroom. As a result, the murals were subconsciously bestowed with the essence of having to pee. That's interesting. Abigail, did Shakespeare actually sat down and decided to put the clothing metaphor in Macbeth? Me, a child of linguistics professor and a literature professor specializing in Shakespeare, well, Shakespeare had a reputation for inventing a lot of metaphors common in the present English, like associating envy and green. But I suppose one could also research the language of Elizabethan England as well as Shakespearean source to see if he could have picked it up from there. I'm giving the completely wrong answer again, am I? Damn, that's gonna make me have to play the video to explain his comment, because the part that he's talking about I didn't play. Another comment, it says, Madam XY, not even 2 minutes in and Abby is already delivering gold. Someone gives this woman a prime time spot. Let me read another comment. It says, does interpreting the art like this make it more engaging? Part sounding very familiar when I thought back to all the social media posts I've seen about interpretations of the Star Wars movie and such. The prevailing opinion is usually George was not smart enough to consciously intend this, and arguing whether he subconsciously intended it may or may not be giving him too much credit. But it's fun, so let's look at it seriously, at least for a minute. And then other people say, LOL, yeah, true, but also, oh, dang, that's cool. And also, what if? Not only is it more fun to throw around ideas without needing to nail down their canon status, original intent, validity, exclusivity, or performance through debate, the yes and participatory process is a lot more fun than competitive one. And why would we spend time discussing meanings behind art if it wasn't something we like doing? This is a good point. And what this makes me think about is, like, I think about how, like, you don't have to know much about art to talk about it, right? And then feel like you are like you know what you're talking about, like the colors or whatever aspects. You start to using big words and stuff, and you don't even really need to know about art. You can still talk about it. And that's what I think about, like, so that's what it is. It's kind of like sports, right? Sports is that everybody thinks they can do better than the coach, the football coach, the basketball coach, the soccer coach. Everybody thinks they could coach the team better, do better trades. You know what I mean? Or even play the game better. You got people sitting there thinking, I could have made that catch. Shit, I don't know what the hell he dropped that. He's weak. My daughter could have made that catch. You know, it's crazy. But you know, so that's entertainment, right? We just like to entertain ourselves that way with this kind of thing where we feel like it caters to our ego, because when we feel smart, right? You know, because can't nobody tell you that you're wrong a lot of times in these kind of situations with the art or with the trade or whatever. You're like, oh, he should have traded such and such and such. Oh no, he should have traded such. Everybody could just argue, and whose ever opinion on is as valid as the next one or whatever, because most of them don't know what they're talking about anyway. So you know, that's the thing. So I think that's what it is, right? The art is for that. It's a vehicle to entertain the masses, you know, so people who don't have to know a lot of stuff, and they can still, you know, talk about it knowledgeably or sound like they are. That's pretty cool. Let me read another comment. It says, I view interpretation as an exercise more than as an objective search for truth. It's a process without a defined endpoint. It's impossible, really, especially because so much of art is random neurons firing, leading to people producing things, and then after the fact, make a fruitless attempt to explain the inexplicable. Artists have to develop a skill for post-HOC explanation of their own work, because I would venture to guess most art isn't made with the kind of focused intentionality, not unless the artist has some pretty aggressive metacognition going on. And a lot of writers are very reflective, but not very reflective on the reflecting, if you know what I mean. Thinking I'm going to make a big statement about loss doesn't happen anywhere near as much as, this thing I'm making sure seems to be about loss. I guess I'll lean into it. We talk about the audience interpreting art, but the artist is often the first audience a piece of art has. And especially if they feel pressure to explain the art to other people, they have to guess at their own intention. I would say guessing one's own past intent isn't as difficult as guessing someone else's, but it's still several magnitudes more difficult than you think it is. Have you ever read your own writing from 10 years ago and been struck by how you recognize it as coming from you, and yet it's also completely alien and you don't understand the sentiment that produced it? Would the same be true for artists? You ask a painter about something he painted a decade ago, and he's likely to tell you something about the meaning, but it's what he thinks now, which could have been influenced by what other people thought of it, by how he has changed as a person, by the direction of his art since that point, by the distance between the him that made it and the him that's been asked to give the meaning. Heavy, heavy, heavy stuff here. I think I'm going to stop on that comment because my brain just started hurting a little bit. I want to play some more because they mentioned something in the comments that's later, because they were talking about if Shakespeare was trying to make a statement with the clothing. How far is that in this though? How long am I been on? I'm already at 3 hours. I think I'm gonna wrap it. Play more of the video or wrap it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me play some more.
My point is, people feel all sorts of things when they look at art. Sometimes I look at Rothko and I feel anxious about my ex. Sometimes I look at Rothko and I feel like suddenly I have to pee. So which feelings are the right ones? Even if I'm just focusing on my emotional reactions, how do I know that I've got it? We can probably narrow it down a little bit. Like we could say that your feelings should be caused by the particular artwork you're looking at. Yes, I might look at Rothko and feel anxious about my ex, but that's not caused by Rothko. Any painting in any gallery would do that. I might look at it and feel that I have to pee, but again, that's not caused by the Rothko. That's just coincidence. But even then, that might not be enough. Whenever I look at the Seagram murals, I think about Spider-Man 2. The story of how Rothko made them was adapted into a play called Red, which starred Alfred Molina, who played Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2. I really liked Alfred Molina's performance in Red. So now, whenever I look at those particular paintings, there's a part of me that feels happy, because I'm like, oh yeah, Alfred Molina.
There's a huge amount of input and a whole new vibe, really.
My feelings are caused by that specific painting, and they don't seem relevant to its meaning. But then we are right back where we started. It really seems like the artwork has a correct meaning that determines whether or not I get it. And you might be like, well, okay, but what did Rothko feel? He probably wasn't feeling anything to do with Alfred Molina or my ex-girlfriend. Probably. But the despair, the sadness, the trappedness, yeah, maybe. I mean, he did say that he felt those things when he wrote about the paintings, so maybe that's it. Maybe if I stand in front of them and I feel the same thing that the artist felt when he made it, that means I've got it. But hang on a minute. We've already tried this. Remember a minute ago, we learned about how the artist's intention can be a tricky concept because intentions change over time, and the artist themselves might be just another interpretation. How do I know I'm not doing the same thing with Rothko's feelings? In Pale Fire, John Shade obviously felt a lot of things, but how do we know whether or not Charles picked up on the right ones? In my play, there are like 9 characters, some of whom feel things that I've never felt in real life. So what is the audience supposed to feel? I am Pablo Picasso's paintings. How do you feel about me? Here's an idea. Who gives a shit? I am Salvator Mundi by Leonardo, the Big Dog, da Vinci. In 2017, I was bought by Saudi Arabian ruler Mohammed bin Salman for $453,312,500, which makes me, oh my gosh, I guess that makes me the most valuable painting in the world. Who cares what art means or what it's about or how people feel? Not the art world, that's for sure. Salvator Mundi is a portrait of Jesus, a man who famously did not have a high opinion of rich people. But that didn't matter because art is what economists call an asset, or in poor people language, it's a way to avoid paying taxes. Let me give you some advice, okay? This is now Salvator's business influencer tips. Buy cheap paintings. And when I say cheap, I mean like rich people cheap, like $25,000. That's nothing. Take those cheap paintings to an appraiser, one that you trust, and say, hey, Jimmy, how much would you say this painting is worth? And Jimmy goes, oh, I don't know, maybe $1 million. And then what you do is donate that work of art to a charitable foundation. preferably one that you control. Oh, but Salvi, I hear you say, why am I giving it away? Why am I not selling it? Well, because as far as the tax collectors are concerned, you just donated $1 million to charity, my friend. You're practically a saint. So use it for clout. And more importantly, it's a tax write-off. Or try it this way around. Let's say you already own a painting and it's very valuable. Like me, but not me, obviously. You couldn't afford me. I'm Jesus Christ Superstar. Take that valuable painting to your appraiser and say, hey, Jimmy, how much would you say this one is worth? And Jimmy says, oh, I don't know. Not much, I reckon. Then what you do is you die. The method is up to you there. But when you go, donate that valuable painting to your spoilt rich kids, to Ferdinand and Jemima and Armancio. They then sell it. And oh, wouldn't you know it, it's actually worth loads of money now. But by that point, they've already avoided inheritance tax. Boom. You can look down proudly from heaven, where rich people definitely go. The art market is pretty unregulated, pretty opaque, and very concentrated. And if you have the millions it takes to buy in, there are millions of ways you can stack the deck. Whilst the plebs are standing in front of the work trying to figure out what it means, you already know what it means. It means you never have to work again.
Money.
Huge vibe.
Except, well, it's hard to be completely cynical. Even in the ritziest of ritzy art circles, people do still talk about the meaning. In the early noughties, a new art movement developed that came to be known as zombie formalism. Pretty quickly, people started to suspect that zombie formalism was just trying to make a quick buck. A lot of the paintings themselves were pretty visually neutral. So you could hang them in a CEO's office or a fancy lobby and they'd take up space without pulling too much focus. Some of them pushed boundaries, but in ways that didn't always seem significant, like, oh, it's the first painting ever to be done with a fire extinguisher. Great. And a lot of them got flipped. Bought cheap first time round, sold very expensive on the secondary market. These examples are the 7 Rain paintings by Lucian Smith, one of the most prominent zombie formalists, and they made him very rich. When they were exhibited in LA, they were accompanied by this description. Smith's work acts as a tangible moment, a chronicle of exploration as he negotiates with existence. He reminds us that an artist's trajectory is some sort of... What? I don't even remember what that said. Those words just slid off my brain. That was pure bullshit. And yeah, a lot of philosophers and art critics actually said that at the time, or words to that effect. Interestingly, Lucian Smith himself has since come forward and kind of admitted it. The model that was set for me when I was younger, it wasn't a healthy model. It was about sucking up to collectors and trying to sell for the highest prices. That stuff isn't real. That's not art. According to his website, Smith is now living in New York, making NFTs for a company called Lobus, which, I mean, if somebody had accused me of making worthless art just so that it could be sold to fools to make a lot of money, I probably wouldn't get into crypto. But even at its most cynical, people still had to act like the art had meaning. Part of the process of building hype around a new artist is convincing people that their work has something interesting to say. And zombie formalism didn't last in part because audiences and critics saw through it. Other trends took its place, including a trend for what you might call woke art, or art with social and political meaning. Yes, it's a financial asset, but people still want to stand in front of a painting and feel like they get it. And I still do, with Rothko. tricky because there is kind of a cultural pressure with art, especially modern art, to act like you get it. And I know that there are some people who respond to that pressure by just denying that modern art can have meaning. They're like, oh, nobody really gets it. Nobody really likes it. They just pretend to. And that's always seemed kind of cynical to me. But at the same time, I do feel that pressure. Like, I feel like I should have opinions about Mark Rothko. I should be that kind of cultured person. But I guess if that's how I'm approaching it, then I'm not really engaging with the art. I'm just worried about the kind of person that I feel I should be. Like, oh, what if I get invited to a party and I say the wrong thing about Mark Rothko and I make a fool of myself? But that's a silly way to approach it, because even if I got everything there was to get about Rothko, there's thousands of other artists here that would confront me with that same anxiety. If you come to art looking for a stick to beat yourself with, then you're probably going to find it. So maybe we should ask a different question, which is, what is the point of trying to get it? When I was a child, we studied Macbeth in English class. If you don't know it, it's about a guy who murders the king and steals the throne. And there's a running theme in the play about clothing. People say that Macbeth is wearing somebody else's clothes as a metaphor for him stealing the crown. They say that his new title doesn't fit him. It hangs loose about him like a giant's robe upon a dwarfish thief. Macbeth is all about the drip. And I, being a little wise ass, put up my hand and said, Miss, did Shakespeare really intend to put that in there? And there's two ways of asking that question. The first is, did the actual man, William Shakespeare, actually sit down in 1606 and have the thought, I am going to use a clothing metaphor in my new play? And then I'm going to send a bunch of flirty sonnets to someone and make them wonder whether I'm bisexual. There's no way we can know whether he thought that without a time machine and a mind reader. But the second way of asking the question is, do we get more out of the play if we assume that the clothing metaphor is intended? Do we enjoy it more? Does it prompt us to some interesting reflections if we assume that we are meant to notice it? If we just go, nah, that's just a coincidence, don't worry about it, then are we missing out? The philosopher Alan Goldman says that the point of interpreting art is to maximize its artistic value. Now, what exactly is artistic value? Well, maybe that's another story for another time. But his point is that getting it is not a competition. It's not about being right. But then how do we know that Charles is wrong about Pale Fire? Because if he's right, then the poem isn't good. John Shade leaves behind this amazing work. He writes about being an old man at the end of his life and what it was like to lose his daughter, and it's really, really moving. If we assume, as Charles does, that, oh, that stuff doesn't matter, it's really all about him, well then, it's kind of a waste. That's what makes Charles a tragic character. He's so lost in his own mess that he can't see the true value of what John has made. As for me and Rothko, I can try to put together all the different ideas that we've looked at today. I can bear in mind what Susan Sontag said about not intellectualizing things too much. I can remember that the process by which art gets exhibited is often a financial thing rather than an arbiter of its meaning, so I don't have to feel pressured by that. And I can also try to think about what Rothko himself might have intended or felt. Not so I can reconstruct his brain, but so I can see whether I can also feel those things. I'm looking for new experiences when I go to his art. I'm trying to grow and develop as a person rather than trying to get it. As I've been writing my play, I've had to deal with a lot of these questions and be in the room with actors as they try to interpret the characters that I have written. By the time you're watching this, rehearsals will already have started. I know that a lot of you already have tickets, and I cannot wait to share The Prince with you. I am so, so excited. It is a dream come true to be able to make art. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, basically, because without Philosophy Tube, I'd never have been able to do this.
Anyways, really cool video. I wanted to I'm gonna do another one of the Philosophy Tube videos tomorrow because it's the one about Marx. And what was it? Hold on. Give me a second. What's the name of it? Damn it, I don't see it. And we're gonna talk about some art some more tomorrow too, because I like that. How religion turned America politics against science. Man, I'm all lost on this shit, but I'm gonna dig through it and I'll be ready for tomorrow. Anyways, y'all, peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. I'm gonna wrap it because I got class in the morning. School has started and I need to focus on that shit and I need to get some rest and get my ass up in the morning. So peace and love, y'all. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.